on, I'm gonna get mine. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Don't down when you're smiling in my face, but you play me like a clown and you fool, bitch. So just step back, or I'm mad dad when I come down straight. I thought you were my piece, but you play me out. Now I'm mad. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. I'm back on the scene. It's time to get mean. I'm a lean revolution machine. For what people for today is good as any day. Y'all feel slightly this, let's resist. Raise your fist and pump like this. Promises over the top. Don't cross the line. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll.
Yeah, I hear that. It's kind of weird. I'm not sure what happened there. Let me.
I have an idea what happened. And now there's still an echo. What happened is that's the first time in all the years you've been playing this
Yeah, I'm having a
that I
problem.
actually alerted somebody, listen to this. It's really a great intro. It never happened until I said that. Now, I'm not sure who actually caused it, but
See, you jinxed us, Jim.
no, seriously. When I was younger, street lights seemed to go out around me more than any. Electronics go on the fritz around me.
You magnetic over there, Jim? You got some magnetism going?
I don't know, man. If I could harness it for the good of Jim kind, I would. Anyway, listen. Really, seriously. When it's all over, it's really the name's what? Roll? Is that it, Lefty? Just roll? Lefty? Is the name of it?
Can you hear me?
Now I can. Can you hear me? It's like a bad old commercial or something.
Yeah.
You know? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Just have
It could be me.
some issues
Let me
here.
back away from the
See
computer.
what
Does it work better now?
I had the same problem. I had the same problem the other day with it cutting out every 10 seconds. So I think it's my mixing board. I got to bring it into the shop.
Could be a cable. Most of the time, it's a cable.
But what?
Yeah.
A cable, one of the connecting cables, XLR, some other. It's probably not the board. It's probably one little stupid cable, you know. I was an audio engineer for many, many decades as well, man, in the hip hop industry. So I was a sound guy, and it was always cables, always.
Well, anyway, what I'm saying is, Lefty, is the name of the song just simply Roll? Yes? No? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Roll by Sativa Cross.
Okay, that's what I want to say. Yeah, if you go to YouTube, Sativa Cross, Roll, and you can see a little video he made when he was an obviously much younger man. It's the same exact song, but you'll hear what I mean, you know? So definitely, you know.
That's
I always help with the end, especially when I'm on mute. You can't hear me, but you know, I'm helping. There's like a back and forth at the end, you know, that we didn't make it to. And that stuff happens. You know, if I say to Kathy, my better 2/3, if I say, hey, did you see that on his face? Like it could be a ball game or something. The guy's like, they'll show him from the back, from the side. he'll do something and never be on TV again. It happens to me all the time.
Wow.
So I'm just going to keep real quiet for most of this and absorb. But yeah, we don't need Lefty as long as we got good sound.
Right.
Yeah, I hear all the time about horror stories of opening a dispensary. And I'm being with the Coalition for Medical Marijuana for 20 years. I'm more on a daily basis aligned with Sativa Cross.
Right.
Because we operate on a very similar wavelength. Coalition is, they're very well entrenched and they got good connections and all that. But it's I've been hearing since the beginning days, then everything leading up to it. I can't believe some of the delays and what goes on. Some of the things he talked about, I think it was a question and answer thing on LinkedIn or something like that, whatever it was. But it was very, very informative.
Right.
I realized just in that little 5 minutes reading a quick 5 questions to you or whatever, how little I actually know about this, and sage advice that I could see in the encapsulated thing. So I'm pretty well looking forward to this. And I have no skin in this particular game, but I want to be able to know about it. So when I do cross paths with people having a problem like that, one, I can point them towards you, and two, maybe I even have some advice if I listen careful, because I absorb pretty good.
Absolutely, man. The game is that's my forte, is spreading the word, man, helping tear down those iron gates and steel curtains and all of that this information has been hidden from the common people for so long. So that was my mission, man, to make sure that the average person got the information so they can make good decisions, don't have to go through the crazy. I mean, you still got to go through the crazy, but if you know what you're dealing with from the beginning, you're a lot more equipped to make it through the crazy. Yeah, definitely. So I've always been on a mission, man, to show and teach more people, man, how to get into the game. And that's what we're seeing now. More of our people finally getting into the game, after 2 years. 2 years. I got clients still going 3 years, 3 years in. One of the first ones that got through the application process 2 years ago. They're still waiting because of the long timelines that are associated with the municipalities, going through the municipalities, dealing with the state. You got two big things that are both bottlenecks. You're dealing with a state entity, you're dealing with the town entities, and it's just taking people so much longer than what they expected, and it's hurting people's pockets because they require us to hold that real estate, and that was the hardest part. That's the toughest part of this game. There's no other business in the world that you have to sit there and hold a piece of real estate for 2 years, pay for it, empty, while you do nothing but go through an application process. Like, it's the most ridiculous thing. I mean, so yeah, that's what builds up the biggest expense most of the time as well. It's the real estate. It's the site control. New York tried to do it differently, and they said, we're going to allow you guys to not be required to have your real estate before you actually go through the approval process and get everything. But it became a bit of a mess as well, because what happened, certain people had locations that they didn't necessarily let the OCM, which is their division of the CRC, right over there, they didn't let them know. So when other people came, there were restrictions about how close those dispensaries could be. Now, all of a sudden, you signed a lease, 5-year, 10-year lease. Remember, in cannabis, we go hard. We don't even sign 5 years. We're going 10 and better. We want 10-year leases and better. You could sign a 10-year lease and not come to find out that there's somebody too close to you that was ahead of you in the process. That's what bottlenecked the whole New York thing. That's what created all of the some of the additional lawsuits and other bottlenecks that happened in that process, because those people, it was a mess and they had to figure that out. So it's conundrums, man, either way that you go about it, but the expense of doing these things is really ridiculous. It's really inflated. It's really elongated. I've never been in an industry. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been doing this for 30 years, been an entrepreneur my entire life since I was a teenager. And I've never seen a business model that you have to wait 2-3 years just to get started. Not even to say not just to even know if you're going to make it. Let's say even that, because you may not even get started. You may wait that 2 years and don't even make it. Like, that's the craziness that's involved. And that's the reason why I've dedicated my time, man, to helping other people, educating them, help them understand what they're getting themselves into and how to play that game effectively.
I like one thing you'd said right off the bat to people, and made sense to me, because you don't want to try to go into this like solo or with a couple of friends or something like that. Describing not just what you would need for a game plan, how all that, but
Right.
simply look for like-minded people you can do this with.
Right. Yeah.
With maybe separate skills coming and all that, because originally in the beginning, everybody seemed to think they were going to just open up a dispensary, and some learned real quick. Okay,
This is a lot.
how does that work out? I mean, is there somebody with a good model? And also that at the time there was one social equity dispensary opened out of 47, I believe. That was what the numbers were with what I was reading. I mean, it gives me a direction that still was kind of like, what?
Yes,
You know?
I was just talking about that with somebody, my guys from New York, and I said, guys, guess what? All of the noise New Jersey made about, oh, look at all the social equity applicants, look at all of the applicants. That was the conditional round, right? That's when everyone was green and they were like, oh yeah, I got a license, right? But that's a conditional license, means nothing. You pay $500, they pretty much were letting anybody get that conditional license. That's the first step, right? So they did that so they could brag about all of the social equity, all of the minorities, all of these guys who made it through, but they knew that wasn't going to be even close to the real number of the individuals that were going to make it to the finish line. So that's where we're at now. We're over at 160, 170 open dispensaries. And, I look at social equity and Black owned and all of that, and I can almost count it on one and two hands right now, like out of all of those. It's crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. Yeah. So that was the onus. That was a part of it that we said that was, that was a bit of a setup, not understanding the game. And so many people thought that if they got that piece of paper, that conditional, that was going to be very easy for them to go out and raise capital from investors. They didn't realize it was going to be 500 other people with that same piece of paper running around trying to go after the same pool of investors. So now you got competition out the wazoo. Now it boils down to who you know and how great of an operator you are. And most of the people that were in this were first-time entrepreneurs, first-time operators. Not, very, not something that boosts investor confidence. You know what I'm saying? Having those first-timers in there. So that was also a challenge. Raising capital is a hard job, period. Like, again, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've raised capital for multiple businesses. I learned and I had to learn for decades to do, to learn what I know, to raise capital and all that kind of thing. And they threw everybody in the fire. And I told them, and I said, guys, this is a full-time job. Raising capital is not something that you do on your, like part-time when you're off. And it's a full-time job. You got to constantly be chasing, flying out, doing meetings, talking. There's so much you got to do before it comes into play. So that was a big part too, man. Yeah.
Where I'm at here at Mad Hatter, that's where I'm at here at the dispensary. It was 18 months of delays, 18 months, and that's $10,000 a month.
Yes. Yes. That hurts. I mean, that hurts when you're doing stuff like that. I have a client and that I still am dealing with, and they had a location, paid for it 10 months, $10,000 a month, until the city said, you can't be there. We said, what? What are you talking about? It's right in the green zone. This is where you told us that this could be. This is where you told us this, The councilman said, I don't know what's going on with the city. I didn't have anything to do with those green zones. I run this particular zone. I'm not approving any dispensaries in this thing. We had to actually move because of that scenario. It's a very unfair scenario, but there's some miscommunications and there's other things within the city that they're not communicating to one another, and we become the victims of it. That client had to sit there and pay all that money just to be told, you could try to sue and do all of that, but that's what New Jersey knows, that you're not going to win. That's the reason why they put the municipalities in place instead of you going through the state like the medical round. That's where they knew once you do deal with the municipality, they got infinite power. So for you to go through and do a lawsuit and all that crap, it's going to take you forever. You're probably not going to win, and you're going to lose even more money in time. So most people just say, forget it. Let's just go to the next thing. And that's what they decided to do as well. Yeah, crazy stuff like that, man. It's insane. Insane. So you got to cross every T, dot every I. The mayor might say to you, yeah, man, you're all good. You're not all good. Yeah, the council members can throw you, the planning board can throw you, so many other people in the line can throw you, and the mayor has no control over some of those things. We think that that's like the head guy, like he's the president of the United States. No, we learned that very fast in cannabis. Like some of these council members seems like they got more power than the mayor. Some of them, you know. And I'm like, what is going on? So this was my foray and introduction to politics. You know what I mean? And I've been, like I said, I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I never had to deal with politics, never was interested, because I just controlled my own destiny. And I got into this scenario, which forced me into the fire. And it was a very interesting ride, learning how the politics work, you know?
Ask you a question. It's kind of fun knowing a little bit going in. You said you got started in this direction particularly because you helped your son apply to get a dispensary or something.
Yep. Yeah. Well, actually, before that, when I started the conference, that was 2018. My son was the one who said, "Dad, I think New Jersey's going to legalize cannabis." And I kept saying, "No way." I know. I was just saying, New Jersey's going to be the last on the list. There's no possible way. They locked us up. They harassed me my entire life. I got a rap sheet out the wazoo for just little bullshit weed charges that they pulled me over and messed with me for my entire teenage life. It was like we had crack, you know, like we were selling, but they were going after us because they knew they could jam us up. It was a money train. It was a way to get you in the system. It was a way to get you to pay those insurance surcharge points, which is even bigger. That's the part of New Jersey, the gravy train. I've been a poster boy for getting abused by the New Jersey judicial system, so I know all about it. But those little tickets and little things, yeah, you go to court and you pay that off. Actually, that's the small thing. That's actually your small thing. The bigger thing are those insurance surcharges that they hit you with, and you got to pay those ongoing for years, and they wait for you to miss one little stupid $20 payment, and then they put a warrant out and they put you back through the whole cycle again. They pull you back over. Oh, you got a warrant. You're driving around one day and you're like, what? Oh, you got a warrant. You didn't pay the insurance surcharge from last month. You're like, you know, we're teenagers. We might forget, and we might be a couple weeks late or whatever. And they put you right back through the system. Now they got you on a warrant. Now they're towing your car again. Now you got more points, more tickets, more everything. Yeah, it was just crazy, man. So I never thought it was, you know, I thought Jersey was going to be one of the last because of that. And I kind of ignored it until my son kept pushing me. And finally I saw it come into fruition. And that's when I decided that I was going to get into the cannabis industry. So I started doing research about the cannabis industry, and the information was so disjointed, so all over the place, so contradictory, that I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever witnessed in terms of an industry. And because of that, personal necessity, I said, I'm going to start a conference, and I'm going to bring all the people that have been doing it for real for 5-10 years. And I'm going to get them to just tell us exactly what's going on instead of trying to Google all this craziness and, you know, not be given the truth. So that was the beginning of it. Got further along. My son got me to do his application. And that's when I started helping everybody else, because I learned the process. I didn't even intend to really go and actually be a dispensary owner or go through the retail process or any of that, because I knew the rigmaroles. And again, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm a marketer. I know a lot of other easier ways that I can make cash. So I was like, I don't know if I want to really go through all of that. But my son pushed me. And once I learned that process, that's when the light bulb went off and said, you know, I can help everybody else who can't afford to go through this process, who can't afford to pay all of these professionals to write all these SOPs. Guess what, guys? I already wrote them. I already got it. So guess what? I can cookie cut it for you for a fraction of the cost, and I'll get you through this process. So that's when I became the Robin Hood of information and started going around and getting everybody who wanted to do it, didn't have enough money. But I said, guys, I got a cheaper way. I got this. I got the blueprint now, you know? So that's how it all started. Yeah.
How does the security system fit into it? You know, there's things I've already just touched base on that I would be raising my hand if it were a class. You know, it's pretty interesting. I mean, and it's something that hadn't crossed my mind. I'm not an entrepreneur. I got a lot of good ideas,
right?
But who doesn't? You know, I mean, I don't put them into effect yet. You know.
Yeah.
And but you know, when I thought about it, well, yeah, you got to have. What does a typical security system cost? In the end.
Yeah, they can range, man, but they're starting at around the 30 grand range, and they can go up 100 plus easy. Yep, depending on the size of your facility, depending on the configuration, depending on the municipality, sometimes they have their own requirements as well as the CRC having their requirements. But pretty much the requirements are from the state. Every inch of that dispensary must be visible on a camera. So every single inch of that place must be visible on a camera. So most of the time, we're talking 1,500 square feet. Normally in a 1,500 square feet store, you might have 2 cameras, you know, in a dispensary, 1,500 square foot store could have 34. We're averaging about 34 cameras. Yeah, it's insane. Insane. That amount of cameras that you have to have. They want to see every single inch. And you have to save all of that data. It has to be accessible to the CRC for 30 days. So this is big gigabytes, terabytes of data that you have to save. If you don't have that information or they ask you to see something or something goes wrong and you don't have a record of it, you get a huge fine for it. So that's why you even have to have backups. If something goes down, one of your cameras goes down for 2 seconds, you have to produce a fail log for CRC to say why it failed, when it failed, how long it went down, how long it took you to get it back up, and show them backups of everything else and what you did and all that other stuff. You don't have that stuff, you're getting fined. Yeah.
Would a power surge or something do that? I mean, I'm here. It makes sense. Stuff's got to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
Lefty, I thought I saw Lefty looking around when you were first talking about every square inch is a camera. I know it's coincidental, but his eyes sort of started looking to the left and the right because he's out in his car now. He's not allowed to smoke inside the dispensary.
Right.
You know,
right.
so his studio area is in the dispensary, and he hits the trail about every 45 minutes. He is definitely a pain patient that I would never in my life trade places with. So don't let the smile fool you. He's going in there probably, I enjoy it, but
right, absolutely.
I've seen him laying down at a podcast at the State House. I got a picture of it, reaching up and reaching over when somebody was on and over, was muting, raising a volume. I thought, there's a trooper. Let me snap that scene there. That one looked good,
Absolutely, man.
But that's
the trials and tribulations of going through the can of game, man. There's so many more. I got so many crazy stories, so many crazy things that people have been through, man. I said when it's all said and done, I'm going to write a book. When they can't penalize me when I'm out of the game, I'm going to write.
Yeah, right. Get started on it now, though. Don't wait till you're out of the game. Make sure you got ready to go. Lock and key. When that day comes, you brush it up and it's ready.
Yeah, I think it's a great learning lesson for everybody around the country who's going to go through this similar experience, man. And there's a lot of ways to lose money in this game, and that's what we want to avoid. These are regular entrepreneurs, homegrown in people that are not big multi-state corporations. And I reiterate that to a lot of municipalities to help them understand and say, guys, these are regular folk, man. We're just regular working people, regular entrepreneurs trying to get this thing. We don't have millions of dollars like you're thinking that all the can of people coming in are huge. They're millionaires and they got all this money. And we're like, you guys are looking at a different story. This is not us. Everyone here is scraping to raise the capital to be able to do it. Nobody is fun. There's very few who are self-funded doing it out of pocket. Most people have investors, partners, something else involved because it's just a cash intensive business.
Yeah. Apparently, person will have no idea how much you have to raise in the first place, from what I've been gathering, that you really can't predict. You can certainly predict that you can't predict, and things are going to go on and stuff that maybe never happened. Do you think in the course of doing this, and at first it would feel like counterintuitive to me to think it's a good thing, but I would think there'd be some people that after talking to you are like, you know what? Yeah, I don't want to go into with a bunch of other people, but he makes a lot of sense. You're probably saving people
big time,
going down a dead end that you'll never know. You know what I mean? It's not like
definitely
somebody's ever in a company. You go, by the way, you saved me from going down that dead end.
Right.
I think there's some good being done with a dose of realism too. you know.
It really is. And I was just saying, I was having this same conversation. That's funny, man. You reiterating a bunch of my conversations today, but I was just yelling that out to earlier today to some of my guys in New York. And I said, guys, this is a team sport. This is the biggest team sport you're ever going to play. This is not something that you do from a solo perspective unless you got a whole bunch of money, a whole bunch of time, and you really want to dedicate everything that you got into this thing. Other than that, you're really going to need, this is a team sport. You got to have a big a number of employees. You need other individuals to help you through this. This thing is so taxing, just the application process. So many of my guys, I mean, one of my guys literally, he says, Gary, look at my hair, man. I'd have no gray hair before I started this process. His whole head is gray now. He's
Really?
like, my whole head's gray. I'm getting a divorce. All of this because of chasing my dreams in this cannabis game, you know, and I completely understand. And he's not the only one that has told me that story from going through this cannabis game. It's so stressful. It's so elongated. And people looking from the outside in, like spouses or anybody else, and you're dumping money into this thing. I mean, you could look kind of crazy to somebody else, right? They're gonna be like, "What the hell are you doing?" And so a lot of people, man, it's difficult for them to explain that what they really are going through to their spouses to the point where it ends that relationship. So, you know, it's serious stuff, man. People are losing money, they're losing relationships, losing time. You know, time they could be spending with their kids just to be run through the ringer with some of this stuff, you know. So it does get to be it's not a game for the faint of heart, man. That's all I'll say. You got to be ready to go to war. You got to be ready to go to war for this one. You got to really, really want it, you know.
I think first-time candidates, I mean, that aren't like statement candidates. I mean, hell, I was a candidate for a state senator in 2007 just to get 5% of one campaign issue, medical marijuana. You know?
Right.
Marijuana back in the day.
Right.
But I imagine anybody, even if they think they know what it's going to be like, I would imagine if you got into a political campaign, you know, other than like what I was saying, that you'd find out along the way, man, I didn't know I was going to get slapped like that. Oh man, I didn't think somebody would give me the finger in the food store when I was with my family, whatever, things you would think of, you know?
Yeah.
But this, yeah, I mean, I've known, especially in the beginning, there was people that were going in with like so little money. In retrospect, I'm glad I wasn't there to see it crash for them.
Yeah, because you really need the cash to make it through, man. It's just so much that you have to do yourself. There's so much that you have to pay for yourself before the investors will even pay for anything for you as well. You know what I mean? So that's the part. That part was a part that nobody completely understood when they were going into it. They were thinking that, hey, if I get the conditional license, then I can get the investor. But the investor was like, no, the investors understood that that was just one simple step. That you needed to get site control, you need the real estate, you need municipality approval. And those municipality approvals are taking 9 months, 10 months, 12 months. So now you got to hold that real estate. You can't even apply to a city until you have what's called site control, which means you have, you know, gotten the person and the property owner to set you up with some deal that you can go in and say, I got control, but it's always money involved. We're in New Jersey. So it's not like guys are going to say, hey, man, all right, I'll give it to you. Here's a piece of paper. Go to the city, get everything, and then come back to me in 9 months. They're like, hell no. They're like, bro, you better pay me something right now. I'm going to rent this to somebody else. What do you got? You know, so it's like, so we have to work out all these crazy deals because then we have to explain to the landlords and say, hey, but you know what? I'm in cannabis and I'm not even going to be using the space at all. I just have to hold it. It's just going to be sitting here on the side. You could keep doing whatever you're doing with it, Mr. Landlord. I just need to have control over it and have that and have my name and blah, 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 go there. So then we had to educate them with that. So, you know, they started to understand a wee bit, but not much, man, because the landlords got really greedy in New Jersey. They thought everybody was coming with $1 bazillion. So you call them one day and I would call many landlords and say, how much is the rent, monthly rent? Oh, they're like, oh yeah, Gary's $5,000. And then they would say, well, what's the use case? And I would say, oh, it's cannabis. And they would, oh, that 10,000. They just go double it immediately on us. We call the next day, it's 10,000. They got other people. I mean, it was a fight, real fight for real estate in New Jersey, man. We were, you know, it was a battle. It was a battle. Yeah, one of the toughest battles.
I never thought of that. If you knew it was going to be over a year going in, it's first it would have occurred to me that, well, yeah, if it's a building already in use, if it could still be in use, that would really help. I mean,
Yeah, that
there's obviously no apparent reason to be using it. I mean, unless they're going to do extensive renovations or something.
yeah, you don't need all of that. You don't even need that. But you're right. I mean, finding something in use, that's the most ideal scenario. But unfortunately, it's so few and far in between. I only know a handful of guys that were able to find those locations that were already used. Because remember, it's got to line up with the timeline too. So whenever they approve you, then that building needs to be accessible to you. And we don't know when we're getting approval. So it's like willy-nilly, and you got to wait and try to line it up and all of that. And the landlord's got to really be down with you and really be flexible to do that. So most of them are like, I don't want to hear none of that crap, man. Either y'all going to pay me right now, or I'm going to lease it to somebody else. If y'all really want it, this is what you're going to do. I'll give you a break on the first month, second month, third month. But after that, you're going to pay full. You're going to pay the full, 10 G's a month, 1,500 square feet. And that's what many of us we're facing, man, in cannabis. So it's a hard ride. My guys, I mean, and that sounds crazy, but listen, some of my guys in New York, 2,500 square feet in Manhattan, they're at $120,000 a month. They're paying, sitting on it. $120 a month. $120 a month. And when they told me those numbers, it made me feel a little bit better. I was like, damn, that hurts, man. Yeah. So it's insane.
That's a whole different ballgame then.
It is.
Do people find it real hard not to get funding? It seems like I don't know anything about this, but I would imagine there are people who do have money that would say, you know what, I can help you through the beginning here and become a partner of sorts. And it seems like that's exactly what you need. Somebody that would have the money, and what I want in return is everything good. No. You have money, you can take part of that level, but we're the ones going to take care of stuff.
Right.
I wonder how that works out. I mean, it almost sounds like a Shark Tank thing. I mean, like you need the money,
right?
And they just take that quantum leap from this to that. I mean, there's a whole thing in between that'll be happening short of having a Shark Tank effect.
Yeah.
Although that would be kind of interesting, somebody to make it onto Shark Tank just because it would be interesting.
It really would. It would change everyone's perspective, and that's funny because we do our version of Shark Tank. We call it Spark Tank, right? On October 18th and 19th. Everybody who's watching, guys, remember, we see us October. And yeah, you didn't even know that. And see, we do that at our show. It's called Spark Tank. And Spark Tank, we do a cannabis business pitch. We get them in front of the investors and go through everything. But guys, October 18th and 19th, man, if anybody's listening and watching, go to www.realcannabisentrepreneur.com, realcannabisentrepreneur.com. Check us out, Newark, New Jersey. We'll be at the DoubleTree. We'll be doing Spark Tank. It's going to be off the hook. Lefty will be in the building. Jim will be in the building. So all of my people will be in the building, man. We're going to have a big party. We're going to have a bunch of fun. All of the most important people in cannabis who really give a damn, who are really making a difference, I make sure that they're in the room, man. So this is like one of the most important events to attend if you're really serious about cannabis and you're really serious about establishing a network of real individuals that you can establish long-term relationships. That's what Real Cannabis Entrepreneur is all about. I made this out of personal necessity for things that I needed, but it was for everyone. And I call it a community conference because I do, make sure that we're taking care of everybody that's affiliated in the canna game, man. So big up. Make sure y'all come. realcannabisentrepreneur.com, realcannabisentrepreneur.com. And one other thing, I see C Marina on here. Good question, C Marina. She said, when marijuana becomes a Schedule 3 drug, how will that change for the towns in terms of getting in as a cannabis? That's a really good question, C Marina, actually, because we haven't even thought about that. But I'm pretty sure that the towns aren't going to change anything. Even if we went Schedule 3, they're still going to put us through the same rigmarole because it's weed. They're still going to say it's weed. No, we don't want the kids seeing it. We want this. We want that, blah, 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 right? And there'll be changes that they have to abide by. I mean, the cannabis businesses will have to, it'll loosen up our the 280E, what's called a statute in the IRS bill called 280E. And that is the one that does not allow cannabis businesses to deduct regular expenses like lights and employee and payroll and inventory and the regular crap that you do as a regular business owner, you can't deduct it in cannabis. It's the craziest thing. It's the craziest, stupidest rule I've ever heard. I don't know who came up with that and why they even said that, but that's what it is right now. But
Well, they're from New Jersey, whoever came up with that, I'll tell you that for sure.
right.
That's a homegrown kind of way to be.
For real. For real, man. Schedule 3. So that was a good question, C Marina. But yeah, I don't think it's going to change anything on the town level. Unfortunately, they're still going to put us through the same rigmarole. They're still going to be acting like we're selling crack. You know what I mean? When they're like, yo, guys, like, you know, that's what we were talking about too. Say, get a drunk driver. Drunk drivers, we're going to all drive faster. We get a person who's high, and we're going to all drive slower. We're going to most likely be sitting at the green light, you know what I mean, for some extra time before we get going. You're going to take more precautions with cannabis by far, but yet it's just so regularly socially accepted for you to walk in a bar, have a drink, come out, drive a car, do whatever. But with cannabis, we got to go to the side. We're at a family event. We just can't, you know, we gotta go to a corner somewhere, right? It's so crazy, man. It's so crazy.
When somebody has that idea about driving crazy with cannabis, I will always stipulate that I will get lost more often, but that's because I'm doubling down on being careful.
Exactly.
So while I'm making sure I'm being careful, maybe I miss my turn and I got to turn around, but then I'm turn around careful.
Right.
I've seen that happen. You know, I mean,
yep. We're just going to be more careful with the driving. I was talking to some of the other guys working on the DRE, the drug, to do the testing for cannabis, right? And they're trying to figure out a way to test people and see who's high for cannabis. And I know that there's, just from me being an herbologist and understanding the human body and everything that's going on, there's probably never going to be a test that can test a human being and see how high you are from some freaking test that you take on the side of a road. It's just not possible. And they've been trying and trying and trying. But mark my word, all the scientists, they got all these fancy things. Then I'm gonna bet on there's never going to be an effective way to test people.
I agree, and that's my worry, that they'll get tired of caring if it's effective and find some way to establish it.
Right.
I have this distinct feeling that these are the good old days, that I can have all the smoke I want. Right now, the legality of being a patient is, okay, you're driving down the road, you're on Route 70, you just pull over, pull off the road, shut your car off, take your keys out of the ignition. I don't know if you put them somewhere, and then smoke your medicine. And then when you feel that you're good then to drive again, then you drive again. That's the law now. That's what I call, this is the good old days here.
Right.
I mean, this is the good old days where the test didn't exist, you know?
Exactly.
This was, and all you needed to do was be able to walk a straight line. If you were good at that, that's fine. And then along came all sorts of other ways to do it. So, but you know, it's not, again, one of the things about home grow against it in New Jersey is law enforcement and legislators saying it won't be enforceable. And I'm like, okay, no harm, no foul. There's no complaint. Chill, you know. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Is I'm like, you can't use blood. You can't use blood, guys, because it doesn't. You could smoke weed 30 days ago and it's still going to show up, right? It doesn't mean I'm high right now. So that whole framework from the alcohol testing can't be established with the breathalyzer. You can't. There's nothing that can measure that because, again, the breathalyzer is based off of blood content, right? So there's no. I just never see them finding an effective way of doing that, and
that's got to piss them off too, you know. That's the only pleasure I get out of that. You know, somebody else getting gray hair is going. There's got to be a way, because if I could get it, that's going to be a moneymaker. Somebody that did that and it worked. So
yes, and Paco, yes, you are correct. They have several ways of testing, but none of them are foolproof. Haven't any of them have come through. I've read so many tests from all the different ones. They all go to a certain point and they stop. Even Ohio, they had one that they were rolling out to some of the officers, and they wanted them to use it in the field so they could get more data. And that test, I never saw them talk about it again. Why? Because I know it failed. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they got all kind of crap, but is it effective? Is it really gonna work? I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I don't think so. So we'll see. We'll see. The breathalyzer is based on parts per million of THC on the breath, and they've been trying to implicate it across the country. Yeah. Good luck. I don't know, man. Good luck with it. Yeah. What's it called, Paco? Tell me more about it, man. I'll check it out, though. They're always coming up with something new. These scientists are brilliant. Somebody might come up with some type of way, but I don't think it's going to be foolproof. I think it's going to have some big variances, Yeah, he said he saw it in Oregon. It lived out there, and it can always be tossed out in court. Yep, exactly. That's why I say it's never going to be able to stick in because what they're using, and again, like you said, everybody's different. Everybody's composition is different. It's all going to depend on all those different variations, and that's not going to be able to stick in court. Every good attorney is going to be able to get you out of there,
which means everybody's going to have to be able to get a good attorney to get out of it, which is the part to me that really sucks.
Exactly.
In the meanwhile, and one of the things I appreciate, I think more than most people I know, is I no longer giving a shit about having anything less than 6 ounces, and I never have anywhere near that on me.
Yeah.
But I don't feel so, whether I had some, something that would like smell like it. I mean, I'm patient. I could say, I just stopped. I'm allowed, but the whole thing is I can't be getting money from a lawyer and going to court. It won't work,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if a public defender can do that kind of job or not.
Yeah,
but you're right. It's not gonna stop them from using something that's imperfect.
Yeah.
I guess it gives them something to do and throws caution to everybody else. But it's I don't know. Back in the days, I wouldn't do it now. But I remember one time. I don't know. It relates somehow. Don't ask me to do it because I'm smoking now. I might not. But I didn't have anything to smoke, and we're riding out on the Route 38, a 4-lane highway, and there's a cop just waiting there on the side of the road. I mean, he could see it driving by, and I was surprised that my better two-thirds Kathy went for it. But I went, check this out, like that, like as we're going by, and she actually, because I wanted so bad to get stopped. I mean, I wanted to exert my Fourth Amendment rights.
Right.
I just felt like it, And
right.
now even that wouldn't work anymore because it's almost not really worth it.
Exactly. The cops are like, man, whatever, man. They know that they can't mess with us anymore about weed, so they've moved on. They have officially, finally moved on from messing with us about
pretty
freaking
much.
weed.
I think so. Yeah, and one thing New Jersey did get right though with their law, I do like to mention, we got one of the best patient use laws where it's not hard for. I mean, it's sort of like, yes, you can, unless there's a sign that says this Wawa doesn't allow honor medical marijuana cards in the parking lot,
Right.
But if you're 25 feet from the door, that's just like, that's what you do.
Yeah.
You're allowed to do that.
Absolutely.
So they got that right, and that's like a small thing, But then there's always that people like, Lefty would know Stephen Cuspel. He's a crotchety old guy, not old, but I'll do what I want, sort of guy.
Right.
And he would stand 25, see him at a Wawa, and he's standing there outside, like about 30 feet away. And he's got a car. I'm like, why aren't you in your car? I don't have to be in a car. I just got to be 25 feet away from the door, and he's right. So we enjoy riding that same wave, I mean, not to beat the dead horse, but we were at a Wawa one time, and a little vestibule outside. So you'd go through a door and then another door into the store. Turns out on just a calm day with a slight breeze that one door opening and then the other creates a little suction for a cloud of smoke that might be out one's window.
Right.
And I watched my cloud of smoke follow Kathy just right in, and I'm like, oh man, that looked pretty thick. And back to the Wawa subs going, man, I had to tell everybody it was you. No. They smelled it, no, he's 25 feet from the door.
Right. Yeah, all of these things, man, are coming to fruition. You know, smoking. I had to educate everybody about where you can smoke it, just like you say, man. Anywhere that there's anywhere you can smoke cigarettes and they have an ashtray, that's the rule in New Jersey. Anywhere they got an ashtray, cigarettes, it's not private property. However, because private property can establish any rule that they want. So if you're at a hotel or whatever, they can always tell you, don't think that it's legal. See, a lot of people were confused, and that I think, you know, I'm going to do more. I'm going to do a webinar on that too, because people are still confused about that, and I don't want people to. I want them to really understand, because we had that issue at one of our conferences. That was the first one we did out of the pandemic, and we were at the Marriott, and people were smoking outside parking lot. We were all good. Like you said, some of the smoke started coming inside. That was the hotel that the some of the pilots and the stewardess, all of them stay. So they started complaining, right? They complained, and everybody was like, "What? We're outside, man. It's legal. You can't do nothing. We're legal now." They're like, "No, you are on private property, though. We own this property. We say you can't smoke in the parking lot. You can't smoke." So that was confusing even to me initially. I was thinking the same thing. Like anywhere's a ashtray, we could smoke, but no, not necessarily. If it's private property, they have the right to tell you what you can and can't do. They can tell you not to do it. Now, you're not going to get in trouble or anything. They're just going to say you can't do it. You know, that's the great thing about having it decriminalized and being where we're at with legalization in New Jersey. So that and state parks, ladies and gentlemen, can't smoke in state parks, any of the state parks as well. You can smoke in any other park. The parks are beautiful. They should let us smoke at the state parks. I love my state parks. They're some of my favorite parks, and I can't smoke in the state park. But y'all know, man, we're all rogue, man. We've been used to smoking everywhere anyway, so it don't even matter, man.
I know I can't get caught smoking
I know for a fact I will light up my medication anywhere, and I have done so inside of emergency room ambulance bays, inside of hospitals here in New Jersey, medicating myself. And I had security telling me, "You can't do that." And I was like, "Stop me. Please, I'd love for you to try." Nobody will do anything. It's like, just medicate anyway. If I could, I would have smoked the blunt at the MRI machine when I was there, but they didn't let me. Like,
yeah, but you know what? When you say those things, when you talk about doing those things, you're endangering other people because you're in a hospital. Okay, so you have to understand that piece.
Yeah, but I'm not sitting there lighting up next to an oxygen bottle. It's like it's already.
You don't know. You don't know what's in there. You don't know what's in the room with the MRI machines. You don't know what's there. So
I don't know, inside. I'm talking about outside. But when I smoke outside of the hospital, when I'm actually.
You said you were inside an ambulance bay.
Yeah, that's outside.
I heard what you said.
That is not proper. That's
like
right,
I wasn't paying attention, but I was.
That's considered outside of the hospital. It's outdoors.
Well, Lefty almost smoked inside an ambulance.
Hospital property. You can't do that. You can't do that because you never know.
I honestly don't see why a hospital can't just put an old commissioned ambulance outside in a parking lot and say, "If you're a medical patient, please have at it, medicate, and then come see our doctors."
Okay,
doctors
there
don't
you
think
go.
like that.
All right,
medical field industry doesn't think like
that's
that.
really off the wall, but okay.
It is medical, and
I'm going to be quiet now because I don't.
Well, I just
no. You made good points too. We need somebody to reel us back. Us rogue, guys like us who are just we want to go against the grain. But we need people like you to say, "Wait a minute."
Listen, the American government went across the grain. The American government went across the grain for fucking literally almost 100 years, trying to make people criminals out of it. So now that it's legal, I will medicate as I see freely, and no one's gonna stop me. It's simple as that.
You have the right to exercise your right, and in medication you do. But all they can do is tell you stop.
That's it. They legally can't do anything else besides that. Arrest me. It's not an arrestable offense.
They can't arrest you. They can just tell you to stop. So I'm glad we're at that phase in New Jersey, man.
Listen, just because someone is telling you something doesn't mean you have to listen to them, because they have no actual legal authority over you.
That is correct, Paco. And you know what? That those guys, like the individuals who challenged Amazon, right? And that case law is now a case law all across the United States. Happened right here in freaking Broadway, New Jersey, at the Amazon facility, where they wanted to test my guy who had the medical card. He challenged them. They fired him. He said, "No, you can't fire me. I got a medical card. I'm a patient. What are you talking about?" And he won that case, and now that is case law all across the United States. So you do have to stand up no matter what the rules are. Sometimes if you believe in it, man, you stand up, you fight for it, you may become that next piece of case law too, man. You never know. Yep. So I do encourage my people to fight for it, but use your discretion. And as Sue said, be careful. Don't be going crazy. But at the same time, yeah, I'm all for it, man. And saying let's push the envelope sometimes, you know. Especially when they don't give us home grow and all of that. That pisses all of us off. And we say, man, you don't care about the patients. You don't give a shit about the patients. So yeah, man. So sometimes I'm still a little rogue because I'm like, Jersey, come on, man. We're the Garden State. We got all these other things. We're going to call ourselves the Garden State, and you're not going to allow home grow. Is ridiculous. Ridiculous. For all the rest of the people to understand this concept, understand that this is true medicine, understand how expensive it is. If you had a child that needed those larger quantities to make those RSO oils and do all this other stuff that other people have to do, man, that's a lot of money. And then you're getting limited with how much you can get every day. So now you can't even go. Your kid might need a whole pound. You can't go buy a pound legally in New Jersey. You got to sit there. What is the limit? 2 ounces? An ounce? I don't even know. What is it? An ounce? 2 ounces?
6 ounces.
So now I gotta go to the dispensary 8 days consistently just to get my child enough of the medication I need to make the medicine that they need. I have to wait 8 days. Imagine if your kid's sick and he come home sick from school and you want to give him some freaking aspirin or Robitussin, but you can't. You got to go somewhere for 8 days and buy something every day for 8 days until you can give your child some cough syrup or an aspirin. Like, it's ridiculous. That part is ridiculous. So,
but medical cannabis is usually, restricted more than anything else, which is crazy to me.
It really is.
Cannabis, realistically, cannabis, period. The fact that these government officials want to regulate it when it was medicine before.
Right.
They regulated it. It was literally medication where people were drinking cannabis tonic daily.
Right.
Ingesting hemp daily, using it on a regular basis. The fact is, the history behind it is it was lobbied out to be criminalized.
Period.
Let's not talk about that. Okay. And then it was also lobbied by pharmaceutical industry. Let's not talk about that either. Okay. You got to understand, it's cannabis, and medical cannabis has been fighting for its own life for literally a century.
Absolutely.
And we're just trying to get it back on the board where it deserves to be, realistically speaking,
Absolutely. C. Marina, good question again. C. Marina's on it. She's asking some good stuff. When it comes to Schedule 3, will it be easier to get home grow?
Not in New Jersey, because pharmaceutical industry is going to end up lobbying all over that one and then literally taking that cake and eating it too.
I don't know. Once we go to Schedule 3, that's a good question. Never thought about that, C. Marina. Would it automatically make it legal to grow in any state if it goes to Schedule 3? That's a good one. I would have to talk to the attorneys. I can't even actually answer that one. That's a good one, C. Marina. I'm going to remember that one and ask some of my guys. Come to the show October 18th, 19th. Real Cannabis Entrepreneur. Go to realcannabisentrepreneur.com. We will be in the building. Newark, New Jersey, October 18th and 19th. All my attorneys, all my other guys, man, that are about it. My real attorneys, my guys who really give a damn, the people who really care. All of them will be there. They'll be there to answer all those questions, be able to field all that stuff. These are the guys that sit there all day and night, man. They live, breathe, shit it just like we do. They love it. And they'll be able to answer all those types of questions, C. Marina. So hopefully you, Jersey, and you'll be there October 18th and 19th at the DoubleTree.
Gary, how old were you the first time you smoked weed?
First time I smoked weed, I was 11 years old, man. I was early in, very, very early in. I think I started selling weed at 13.
Me too. I've been doing this literally for 26 years, and people are like, how do you know so much about weed? And I'm like, because I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been smoking longer than most actual professionals in any industry. I don't want to hear that.
Exactly. I'm double quadruple OG, man, in it for sure. I started very, very early. I was the one who got persecuted by all the girls in junior high. Used to call me bad. Oh my God, Gary, you smoke weed. Oh my God, what? This, that. Now all those same girls to this day, I can't even smoke with them girls right now. They will smoke me under the freaking table. All of them smoke blunt after blunt after blunt after blunt. They can all out smoke me. But when I was little, I said, remember when I was little? Y'all used to call me bad, smoke weed. Now look at y'all. You guys are freaking luscious out here.
I mean, realistically speaking, when I first started, I was smoking like a gram a week, and now I'm up to like half an ounce a day. You know what I mean? Like for my medical use, because realistically speaking, I'm off of opiates of taking 8 opiate pills a day and 5 different muscle relaxers a day to literally stop myself from taking all of those pills and to literally stop myself from being put on a surgery table to fix my spine. And it was like a 75% chance I'd be a quadriplegic in a wheelchair. And I decided, no, I'm still hiking now, doing 5-mile walks daily, medicating with cannabis just fine.
Yes.
It's like I didn't want to risk that and continue taking those types of medications that were going to end up killing me, because I've lost 30 people to those same addictions. And I will never take those medications ever again. I'd rather smoke my amount of cannabis and live a better quality of life with my cannabis.
Absolutely. Makes perfect sense, man. Who wants to take a bunch of pills that's going to give you a bunch of side effects? You take a pill that's going to fix this, but it's killing your liver, or it's destroying your lung, or it's doing this to the kidney, or this or that and the third. All of those things have all of those side effects, man. I mean, there's always a place for it. And, you know, don't get me wrong, guys.
I still take gabapentin. Don't get me wrong for my neuropathy. I'm still taking that, but I don't want to take something that's going to kill me.
Exactly. Yep. There's a place for some of those things when you really need it and you're in certain circumstances, but in other ways that you can use alternatives like Paco's talking about with cannabis and substituting. That's the way to go. Anything that you can use to substitute a natural solution versus a magic pill is always going to be better for you in the long run. Always going to have less negative impact on your body and life overall.
I tell my sister, who's a cardiologist, all the time, I was like, I'm going to always pick cannabis over opiate drugs. I'm sorry. It's just not in my MO to take those fucking poison anymore.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And everyone's getting up.
Poisoned me. It poisoned me to the fact where I was literally looking for pills, trying to look for that addiction to fix it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think everybody who's been through the painkiller hamster wheel understands it perfectly clear. Anybody who has been through it, there's been so many innocent folk who got an injury and became addicts because of the opioids that they were fed in the hospital to help with the pain, but quickly became an addict to that. I know so many really good, fine businessmen, businesswomen, people that I know, you know, that just fell into it and became straight addicts because of that. So yeah, it's a real thing.
It's bad stuff. Like realistically speaking, like I honestly am wholeheartedly against any opiates of any kind. Like it's just like it's to the point where, like I said, I've lost 30 friends, acquaintances, and close people to me over the past 15 years for opiates.
Wow.
Like, if that's not an issue, I don't know what is. I'm 36. I shouldn't have to have lost that many people to a pill or a narcotic running around rampant that is just literally getting handed out like Skittles. Like there's a doctor that just got indicted literally less than 6 months ago for that because he killed what's his name, Matthew Perry from the Friends TV show.
Oh damn!
2 doctors got locked up for that out of California for it. Like
damn,
you know what I mean? Like it still happens to this day. Like it's sad, and it's like the fact is that medical cannabis, I personally think, has helped me overcome that addiction of opiates. And running myself rampant looking for opiates to try to mitigate the pain that I feel on a regular level daily.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. I'm with you 1,000%. There's too many people that they're prescribed that, and they don't know that there's that solution of using cannabis. They don't know that there's a solution of using some psychedelics and other things to get you off of these and use those and be straight. And that's why that's the reason why we also added psychedelics this year as well, man, because I'm going deeper into my plant medicine chest kit, you know, and
I microdose that daily every day, and I have literally minor pain because of it. I microdose 0.3 in the morning, 0.3 for lunch, and 0.3 for dinner.
Right.
And every day it takes away my minor aches and pains where I have to just deal with the macro deep pain.
Right. Yeah.
And I've been doing that for well over 4 years once I stopped that, because honestly, if it wasn't for psilocybin and cannabis, I probably would have never got off opiates and alcohol.
Right. Yes, I hear so many stories like that, man. The stories
Yeah.
are so
And-
freaking amazing.
And then I also had some DMT, which also kind of regulated my brain very well and
Oh
kind of
yeah.
recentered me to the
Oh
point where I'm
yeah.
just like, no, you don't need any more of that stuff. No alcohol, no drugs. Like all that stuff was just out of my mindset after I did the DMT wellness trip.
Yeah, that is so incredible. I hear so many stories of people, man, that have those deep
amazing.
addictions go down one treatment. I mean, flip the switch. Think about going to rehab, going to a regular rehab here in the US. You got to stay there 30, 60, 90 days. You still come out. You still ain't all, you still not
itching.
right. You
Still
still
itching
itching.
for it.
You still got to get away. These
I
guys going down.
saw a heroin
one and done.
addict shooting an intravenous heroin addict take one DMT hit and never picked up a needle ever again.
I mean, that's incredible to me. Just think about that. These people have been chasing those drugs all their lives. You got lifelong addicts, people that go and get one treatment, and all of a sudden, magically, they just don't have an urge anymore. Because that's the thing. A lot of these other rehabilitation things are to help you, try to just stay off of it, put your mind. That actually changes the chemistry of your body and your brain so that you don't want it anymore. You know what I mean? Instead of
Same
like
thing as
trying to
ketamine.
force yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're using that for addictive recovery, which is what happened with Matthew Perry, which is why he died. They prescribed him a shitload of like 8 times the amount of ketamine, and he decided to literally take his ketamine medication, and he got sick and died.
He wasn't taking ketamine to get off of drugs.
Yeah, he was. He was taking ketamine.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He was doing it for depression.
Right, and for addiction as well. I just watched the documentary last night on NBC,
So did
ABC. Yeah, they said that he did it for the addiction through the first doctor.
No, he was out of rehab for a while, and he had multiple problems, but he was using the ketamine for depression because he really did have serious depression.
Correct. He had clinical depression, like to the point where it was manic depression.
Yeah,
and it's too bad because ketamine is an anesthetic, and it should be used with caution. I am not a fan of this whole ketamine therapy, assisted therapy. It's too dangerous.
I mean, intravenously used, I agree with you.
Very addictive. It's addictive. So if you're somebody that has like that little addictive, part of you, which I happen to have, ketamine can take you out. That's why if you think
larger
back,
doses,
if you think back a few years back, where ketamine, was a party drug and people were going down that K-hole, it's because they were killing themselves doing that. It's dangerous shit. You need to stay
I
away
honestly think in small doses it is helpful.
Okay,
so like
you
that's
think
what
that you're entitled to your thoughts. I don't. I disagree.
I mean, look at Lamar Odom. He was addicted to crack cocaine, and he's now not addicted to it anymore because of the use of ketamine therapy. He's literally a celebrity. Lamar Odom. He's like a celebrity basketball player for the NBA.
Lakers. He goes with one of the
Okay, I don't know who he is, and I don't know his story, so it really doesn't.
So he was in the documentary for Matthew Perry. He spoke on it and spoke about using ketamine as small doses, obviously, for assisted addiction therapy, and it worked for him. And now he's clean for like 2 years. He lost his marriage and his family over crack cocaine, and now he's not.
He's clean now.
Yeah, never is ibogaine in these conversations. Why is that?
Oh, we've been studying ibogaine so hard, man. Ibogaine is the next level, and that is the addiction one that's really solid.
So having had personal experience with that, when I say personal, my late wife's son had a upper level addiction to the point where even he was worried himself, and against all odds, I mean, like almost through a wormhole, we're able to get him to Amsterdam to a woman named Sarah's place, where he was for like 12 days. And she does this. I don't know what you call a person that does that, who is, when I say trained to do it, it's not like to have legal, here's how to do it. But unless there's, and seriously, nothing else would have worked, and it had to be immediate. It was going to be that. And Cheryl already lost one of her 2 sons, You know, you don't want to outlive the next one. So it was a time in my life I will never forget. Now, the idea that we could even get him an expedited passport through Philadelphia, that we could clear his court schedule because he's in trouble for it anyway. He's just one blip away from ending it just because it would be easier. You know, slipped through all this stuff and actually got there. And what happened was 3 days later, I got a call from Sarah, and she said, Carl's doing good. It's going to take a little while. He wanted to talk to you, and it's okay. Trust me. It may not make sense to you now. It will when you hear, you know, when it's all over, but he's okay. And I trust her. So he was telling me that he'd been to Africa and back. And he's serious. I'm listening to him. Yes, I got back. I was in Africa. And I was at this village. And he's not loose. He knows he's at Sarah's. He's talking sense in every other way. And yet still on this being a village in Africa, and there was this beast that was like menacing the village all the time. And he went out after the beast because they were a good villager or whatever. He's telling me this. And then he doesn't remember killing the beast, but he brought back its head and everything worked out. And he said, I got a guy's phone number. I want you to talk to him when I get back. And he can have a phone number. But the thing is, you know, when he gave back to tell me the story, it's like a waking dream. It's a paralytic, you know, but it's everything that could be controlled in a controlled situation. It shouldn't have had to been like that. But what happened was he came back. He didn't know he'd quit cigarettes at the same time. He didn't realize that. He had one, like, I think when he got on the airplane to come back, he didn't think about it. Somebody lit up, hey, could I have one? And he didn't even think about that. So, you know, he slept no more than 3 hours a night for a couple of weeks at tops. Everything was good. I'd never seen anything like it. So I was like on this day by day journey with him. But after a week, he said, Jim, listen, I want you to do something for me. I want you to take me by where I used to score. I need to see it. We don't have to stop anywhere or do anything. I just want you to ride by. You know, so it was in Lakewood, New Jersey. And we got on whatever road it was. It was a regular road. It wasn't going down some scary place in Lakewood. It was just a regular road. And he's like, turn around, stop, turn around. And we were like 10 houses away. And he said he felt his blood. I mean, he felt like it was on fire, and all he wanted to do was get away. And what I'm saying is, I'm sure it's different for everybody, but it was the most dramatic thing. Never came close to going back for almost 20 years. And then one day he OD'd, you know.
Oh, what a shame.
That sounds very similar to ayahuasca, what he was going through, because ayahuasca is very similar to that, and it's like an ingestible, edible type of DMT. So if you ever look up what's called the spirit molecule, is that exactly it? And then there was this lady called Maria Sabina down in Mexico who ended up starting most of that with the mushroom therapy, guided mushroom therapy, and as well as ayahuasca guided therapies as well.
Yeah, they've been doing some amazing stuff, man. I just had a webinar with two guys that have one of those retreat centers down in Colombia and one in Mexico. They got them a couple different places, but they were talking about the ayahuasca. They were talking about the bufo, that's the secretion from that frog. You know, the special frog that is
AMOD3.
Yeah. We were talking that. We were talking ibogaine. Big up to Guy Tano. Guy Tano's on the check-in. He just texted me. He said his comments aren't coming through. But big up Guy Tano, one of the guys who's been pushing me towards psychedelics, man, for the past three and a half years. And he's the representative for it all the way. He's going to be running my whole psychedelic stage, guys. When you come to the Real Cannabis Psychedelics Entrepreneur Conference, let me correct it now because we are updated now. We are not just Canna. This is the Real Cannabis Psychedelic
doctors?
Entrepreneur. Yes, we got plenty of doctors in the building, man. So many PhDs.
I can bring over my psychologist if you want. My psychologist is my brother-in-law, and he's a psychologist down in Virtuos. I can bring him on over because he actually just did a symposium for the National Psychedelic Conference down in Southern Jersey.
I need him. I need him.
I got
need
you.
him, Michael.
I got you.
Let's make an email intro for me tomorrow, man, so I can holler
I
at
got
him and
you.
get him on the
Yeah.
roster. I want to get
I'll
of my
send them over.
anybody y'all know that's in the psychedelics world, somebody who's really educated with it, that has something to offer, let me know, because I need some additional speakers for the psychedelic side. We're doing 2 stages this year too, guys. So cannabis stage and a psychedelic stage going to be going at the same damn time, running 2 days full of content. Gaetano's doing like 4 panels. Jesse from Baked by the Rivers doing like 4 panels. She's moderating. He's moderating. Then we got a whole full day of solo presentations from various doctors and professionals. And some of the guys I got coming, man, are really, really deep, man, really next level with it. I've learned a lot from them, so much so that one of my guys, he was actually, I was getting him to come over and speak. And he was like, yeah, he was like, check out my podcast. So I said, let me hear the guy and make sure he could talk well. He's got all these accolades and everything. I'm like, let me listen to him and see if he can really speak. I wind up listening to that podcast, and I listened to the whole freaking episode, man. I was like 4 hours in last night just listening, and it was exactly that guy talking about ibogaine and talking about iboga, and I didn't realize iboga and ibogaine were different. And he was explaining that the iboga is the actual, the herb, the plant that they're using from the Pygmies, the original tribes over in Gabon. And he went over and studied with those guys over in Gabon to become a shaman. And he was talking about how it was tearing down all of your reservations, everything that we learned as a kid, all of the stuff that we think makes us up as a composition is really just a farce. And you get to unravel those when you get into those retreats and things like that. It was really interesting stuff that he was dropping down on it, man. So yeah. Big up. Yes, man. Really dope stuff with ibogaine and iboga and all that kind of stuff, man. I really want to understand more about it and learn more about it and experience some of those things that those guys are getting into over there, man.
Yeah,
Gary, I am a certified psychedelic doula.
Oh, are you?
Being a nurse, yeah.
Sue, all right. I got you. I'm gonna do me a favor. Yes, I already got you. So that's right. So tomorrow, let's put you on. That's really dope. I've never heard that. I'm not gonna take up time on this show to talk about it.
We'll talk.
But I just love that title. I'm like, what? That just piqued my interest like crazy. So yeah, I'm loving this psychedelics world. Gaetano's loving it, man. It's the next level of science. It really is. I'm an herbalist. I've been since I was 19 years old. I've always been able to fix anybody who has any type of ailment around me. There was only one time in my life where I felt helpless, where I couldn't fix somebody. And it was one of my employees. He was one of my best graphic designers in one of my firms. He was a super dope, talented guy. But all of a sudden, he started missing work, not coming in late, all this other stuff. And I'm like, yo, what's going on with you? Finally, he came clean. He said, Gary, man, I got schizophrenia and they changed my medication. And when they changed my medication, it throws me all freak off and I'm all jacked up and this, that, and the third. And that was the one time in my life where I realized I didn't have something that I could help this man with because I didn't have any herbs that could deal with that brain scenario and situation. There's only one that I know of called Nerve Whisk, and it's more for the nervous system, not schizophrenia. So I was in a wrap. So when I got to learn about psychedelics, Gaetano schooled me to that and got me started reading about it. I said, oh, here's the brain plant medicine I was missing in my tool chest. I'm all the herbs. But once I learned mushrooms, I said, oh, that's the other part of the plants, the herbology, the other part that deals with all this complicated brain issues, unexplainable brain things. So that's the reason when I really got so excited about psychedelics, because finally I was like, now I've completed. I felt like my tool chest is completed. Damn near.
There's more to mushrooms than just tripping off of them for sure.
Yes, man, big time. One of the stories, I'll tell you this other story. This was Gaetano's guy, and this was talking about past life regressions. And I was like, wow, that was such an amazing story. But the guy said, listen, he was like, yo, I was super successful. I had a wife, had kids, fancy car, Benzes, Beamers, all that stuff, doing my thing, but I never could get happy. And he was like, no matter what I did, I couldn't get happy. I thought something was wrong with me. I went to therapists. I got therapy. No matter what I did, I started feeling worse and worse and worse. He said, finally, one of my family members convinced me to go try some psychedelics. And I'm not sure what form he tried. But he said, when I did that, I was able to go back in time. And I was able to see back when I was a little kid, 5 years old, my father died. He said, my father had died when I was 5 years old. I was running around the house, me and my brother. My brother was older than me. He was like 7. He's like, me and him were running around the house. I was yelling, screaming, and we were having fun. So I was laughing, doing all stuff. He said his mom grabs him because she's going through it. Her husband just died, his dad, but he's a little kid, so he doesn't get it. Grabs the kid, says, hey, John, wait, stop. You can't be happy. You can't keep running around. You can't be happy. He realized that statement had burned in his brain, and that was the component that once he understood that allowed him to finally be happy in his life. And I was like, holy shit, that is wild, yo.
Psychedelic breakthroughs were fucking amazing.
It is
man.
wild.
That happened with me with DMT in Oregon. I had a psychedelic breakthrough, and I was just like, "Oh, whoa, I'm doing everything wrong." And I'm like, I gotta change my life. And I did. Like, I went from smoking opium and taking medical pills that were prescribed to me to just cannabis only, where I can live a better quality of life and still wake up in the morning to call my mother and say, "I hope you have a wonderful day." You know what I mean? So it's like that was like eye-opening to me, where I was just like, what the hell? It checked my ego to the point where I'm just like, no, you need to readjust life in general. And that's psychedelic breakthrough for me.
It really is, man.
I attest that to mushrooms and DMT wholeheartedly.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, it was some amazing stuff. The other guy, he was talking about Iboga and when he used it, and he was saying that that's the only time when you can actually talk to yourself. It's the first time you have an out-of-body experience and you're actually talking to yourself, but it's your intelligent self. And it's the one that can answer all the questions that you ever had in your life about yourself. I was like, listen to this, like, yo, this is so ill. And he was like, asking himself all these questions, and self was telling him and revealing all these secrets to him. And he realized one of the things he was saying, he was like, well, when we're kids, we're children, and we don't have any say-so. It's all our parents who are dictating everything to us. And he says, what happens when we become adults and we start to control our own destiny and our own thoughts? We think they're our own thoughts, but they're a combination of your parents' thoughts, your parents' words, your parents' this, because remember, they were the ones who were doing all this around us. So he was like, you don't even know, all of us don't even understand who we really are, because we've been so inundated with all these other training from our parents to the society to the teachers to everyone else, to a point that he's like, we're all just sitting there lying to ourselves about who we really are and what our downfalls and deficiencies are. And he was like, the moment you do that and you're able to look at yourself and understand that these are deficiencies that you've never been able to face, he was like, that's when the grand opening happened. He's like, everybody thinks healing's supposed to be this wonderful, beautiful butterflies flying. Oh my gosh, I got a revelation. He's like, no, it's like the opposite. It's like it's all the shit you don't want to hear about yourself.
I'm not sure. Did you just sort of slide by calling it and then the grand opening? It's like, it sounded like it's what you said, and I can always go back and look at the replay.
Yeah.
I thought, what a perfect way to put it. It's like all of a sudden it's a grand opening.
Yeah, he was like, it's the time when you get to face yourself and say, I've been lying to myself this whole time. I know that this is wrong. I know this is really bothering me. I know this is, instead of brushing it under, we all got to keep going and chasing money and living lives and family and all that. And he was like, we never get a chance to, go into deep retrospect with ourselves. So
yeah, I'm glad. Boy, that was a perfect lead-in for me. I found out, and I don't know that I like it. It's somewhere around. I could look on Facebook because I said something about it on Facebook. Yeah. I just had this moment of introspection that never stopped. And when I say it never stopped, it's like anytime I felt like doing something, I could yes or no. And sometimes it'd be like something simple. I don't even want to give it. It'd be so trivial.
Right.
And it'd be quiet. And Kathy hear me saying, I don't want to. It's like, are you talking to me? No. I would do whatever I thought was right. And I realized that's what I hadn't been doing. I was taking the little things.
Right.
I was going to do it, but it's all the way over there and I'm already getting up and I'm going over to do it. And weirdly enough, it just never left. It has this like a wavelength,
Yeah.
In the middle of all this, last week, my brother takes care of my pretty much declining our stepfather at the family house that we were in high school in and everything. And he's married and his wife's taking care of her mother in Canada. It's this freaking weird Romeo and Juliet story for whatever 70-year-old people are, including me. But I was then called into action where I'm the one doing everything he needs done. It's me and him. and it involves all sorts of shit. Now, I mean, a lot of it, yeah, but some is like baptism by fire. And yeah, I'm sticking his finger and checking his blood levels and giving him eye drops and make sure he takes his pills on time. And then listening to the same story twice and 3 times because he's got dementia, you know?
Right.
And then I started using edibles and listening to those same stories over and over, thinking, this is a good old day, man. This is cool, you know? And it was a weird, so I just spent this quality family time, you know?
Right.
And it was like, you know, never has he said, hey, thanks for washing my underwear. You know, I went on just doing it. That's what I bring to the table. And family's important, you know. So when you get called on, you want to do it right.
Right.
But also, my phone didn't have data there. I had an iPad I couldn't use. I was on 1970s technology. I was like, and at first it was like, oh man. And then I thought, I'll survive. The world will survive. Let's see what this is all about. And it was now I'm back in the house that I went to high school, and just me and my stepdad, the same one, and married my mom when I was like 16, you know, and they had a kid and a brother and all that. And he hated marijuana, man. He was like, you know, and when I started doing my thing with my late wife Cheryl being quite the advocate, starting around 1993, real publicly, didn't know what to think. And of course, he is turned all around on that. But why I'm saying this is that's after my 3 months worth of, I feel a left shoulder wisdom and a right shoulder. That's the old Jim Miller, you know, and I want to be the old Jim Miller, but making these right decisions now. It's really weird. And maybe it's because I'm 72 and it's like, how long you got to get it right, dude? You know, come on, try it out. It's not that bad. But with him, yeah, dementia, no. Dishes, my job. Or he walks with a cane, you know, better sitting down. And when he's walking, I know where he is. Sleep with the door open in case something goes in the night, you know, all that. And then now I'm back here and I'm like, I'm doing dishes when they're done because in Tom's River, yeah, I might just do something for 5 minutes afterwards and he'll forget. He's going to get something to drink. Next thing you know, he's doing dishes and the cane's falling on the floor and I can't yell at him, you know. So the only way around it is what? Do the damn dishes, Jim. I mean, if ever, you know, he make himself a little something to eat at lunch, that's good. He's allowed to do that. But now all of a sudden I'm looking over there. Yeah, I'm doing dishes here like we're normally always going to be in the sink for a while. And I feel like, wow, I got to adjust Kathy to our new world that I like doing dishes right away. I see no reason not to now that I did it for 9 goddamn days. Anyway, it's the so interesting. We're saying also about the psychedelics because I didn't know what to make of Ibogaine when that happened with Carl, and I couldn't believe how complete it was, you know.
Wow.
And but he didn't have any follow-up smaller support doses, you know, and so you know but it's so like long lasting, and basically the short version that it would be referred to as would be it would interrupt your addiction. It just interrupt, give you a little married, a little honeymoon, you know, and you get it right naturally. But I can't imagine that it wouldn't have been studied intensely by now, you know, with all that. Although Kentucky is a state that has had legislation a year ago, 2 years ago, that might start moving things. I think that's all it takes is 1 or 2 states to get something started and get some good news. And I didn't expect to learn, you know, and you know, everybody brings something to the table here. Paco, who is it? I know you told me. Was this your brother or your cousin? The one that you were just hooking us up with. Who did you just tell us about? Who's going to Gary?
Oh, that's my it's my sister's boyfriend.
Okay,
and he's a psychologist. He's a psychiatric doctor down in Virtuoso Center down South Jersey.
You come with a relative that helped that out, and then Sue,
He's a psychiatrist.
you got your thing.
He works in the psychological department at Virtuos Emergency Room.
Is he a psychiatrist?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's
So
a new psychiatrist. He's doing his
He went to medical school.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes. What is it called? He just finished medical school like maybe 4 years ago. So he's finishing up his psychiatric fellowship, and he's about to pick his hospital. His
Where's he
home.
doing his fellowship?
Virtuos.
Yeah.
Down South Jersey. The hospitals in South Jersey.
Yeah, I'm not that familiar with him.
Yeah, they're all over. They're all over by like Philadelphia, by those bridges and whatnot. They're down by like Cape May and like Camden area.
I'm at Virtua all the time now. I got 4 doctors in the Virtua system.
Yeah, they're mainly like South Jersey, little more mainly South Jersey. But yeah,
Insta guy says Brian Hubbard.
Yeah, he was just saying Brian Hubbard.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, okay.
That's not that's not the doctor I'm speaking of.
Okay, Insta guy is on Instagram, and we don't see his chats, but he talks about ketamine is medical, FDA approved, and nobody heard of Ibogaine when he was talking about it 11 years ago.
That's Gaetano. That's his Instagram handle.
That's Gaetano. Hey, Gaetano.
Yeah, Gaetano. He's all over it, man. He loves it. He loves it. He loves it. He's the Ibogaine man. Fun guy.
Vice Network did a huge documentary on Ibogaine smugglers around the country and how expensive Ibogaine actually is.
Wow.
Which is how I learned about it. I personally never dealt with it. Yeah, Vice Network has a huge documentary.
Oh, wow.
Check that
Get
out.
out of here. Get out of here.
It's bad. It's like I'm talking like huge, like
huge amounts of cash just to try to get yourself right, man. It's what we got to go through in the United States. We got to go through. Somebody got to smuggle it. Somebody got to get it over here. Then you got to just try to use it yourself without the proper instruction, just to try to heal yourself. People are so freaking desperate that we will go through all of this just to try to heal. When we got to do this just to try to heal, we got.
You know what? Ibogaine for Carl 10 days at this person's house. The entire money that he had to have was $1,000. That was it. And that even included like food. She also was a bud trimmer, so he was trimming buds while not being addicted to heroin. And it wasn't like it was pot that he felt like smoking or nothing. He was just like, whoa. But okay, yeah, that was all the way. That was 20 years ago. Hell, that's still what would that be? $1,200, $1,500 now for a result like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know if we did it legally, we could turn it into something much more expensive. But what the hell? It has to start out being a little more readily available and in a controlled situation. Sarah did a great job.
Right. And the guy who was talking about Iboga and Ibogaine, and he was talking about him going to Gabon, and that was Gaetano asking him some of those questions in that webinar and was saying, well, what about, the safety mechanisms and all that? He was like, no, they make you got to do an EKG. You got to do a stress test on your heart. You got to do a whole bunch of other stuff before you go for those treatments. They got to make sure that you're in tip-top physical condition. Your heart's in great physical condition. There's a lot of prerequisites. They got to make sure that you're not taking certain medications that have contraindications and however you say that word, Sue. I know you're the nurse. Intradictions or whatever they call it, but that's when you're interfering with other medicines or clashing with other medicines. So they do all of those things to make sure that contraindications. Thank you. Yes, contraindications and all those things. So people shouldn't be taking that stuff just by themselves. Just like Sue saying, she's like, it's dangerous. The medical professionals will sit there and say, man, you shouldn't be just taking that by yourself. You got to know what you're doing. But when you know what you're doing and you got people who know what they're doing, then from my experience and everybody I know have done it, has been very safe. All of them have been supersonic, man. It has changed their lives. I haven't had anybody who had a negative experience that I've personally spoken with when they go learn or get it from the shamans. Remember, this is ancient. When you go to the shamans, these people have been doing it thousands and thousands of years, man. This is the original
ancient
format.
medicine.
That's the way we're supposed to be doing it. We're going to take we're going to take an altered version of it and try to make it acceptable for us in the Western world. But if you really want the true way, and those shamans will also teach you other things, like they have the integrative services that come along with psychedelics, right? Where afterwards you have to talk to a therapist and learn to replace certain things in your mind, bad things with good things and all this kind of stuff. The shamans do it very different. It's similar, but they have a very different way. And that way is the way they've been doing it since the beginning of time. So that's the reason why even those guys that I was listening to on the podcast, they were saying it's so important that we involve those indigenous tribes, those indigenous people into formulating what we're doing on the Western side, because they're the ones who truly understand. You don't go get someone who just learned it and they try to put it together. He's like, nah, man, we need to go get the guys who've been, they've been doing this their whole lives, been passed down, family information, man. That's
so ayahuasca was guided by a shaman in Oregon that came up from Mexico. That's what I was told when I was going to go and do it, but I didn't. I backed out last minute because I just smoked DMT instead. But anyway, so you have to follow like a rigorous diet before and after you go into just ingest this ayahuasca, and you also have to get your body into like this pH balance just to be able to ingest it correctly. And then they have people there with you. They're called trip guides, and then they sit there with you. They're literally they babysit you while you're tripping for the however long it takes, 20, 18, 20, 30, 40, 50, however long it takes. Every person's different. And they would sit there with you, and afterwards they would literally divulge with you what you just went through to try to make sure it didn't shatter your ego and make sure it didn't shatter your psyche.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's that's one of the things that they've been doing as a shaman for so many, literally generationally. Like my grandmother never believed in anything with medical science. She believed in actual herbs and holistics. Literally, my grandmother died at 98 and never went to a hospital, never had a surgery a day in her life. You know what I mean? Like never went to the doctor for high blood pressure medications. Always, never did anything. Flushed it down the toilet type of thing. And I'm like, what the hell? But now my sister's a cardiologist. It's went the opposite way. You know what I mean? So it's like it's crazy how it evolves, and now my sister is now a DO because she does full body medicine instead of just medical doctor.
Right.
You know what I mean? So she involved that whole aspect of my grandmother being more of like holistic and herbal, and indulge her buying it with being a DO instead.
Yeah, it's really dope when you cross the worlds. But we got to remember to not lose those secrets and those things that are the grandmothers that, like you said, your grandmother's herbologists knew all kind of stuff. When they pass and we don't pick it up, it's lost, and we're losing so much of that valuable information from our ancestors because the younger generation is not seeing as much value as the elders. And I also had that story told to me from some of my guys that were working in Africa and working on some solutions for sickle cell. And many of those guys that had the solution, they were trying to heal the youth, were saying, oh no, we don't want that. That's bush medicine now. We want to be next level like everyone else and take pills and blah, blah, blah. But not realizing that ancient medicine is the superior original form of what's supposed to happen, Yeah, so it's good stuff, man. We gotta save our ancestral knowledge and recycle it and start to use it. But that's what's happening, though. We see it happening more and more and more in society. Everybody's going back to original solutions, going back to herbal solutions, going back to simple solutions. Hey guys, you can fix yourself. You know what? You can just use garlic. You can use this. You can use that. You see all these TikToks now. Everybody's into that. Finding simple methods. Food is your medicine. Everyone's figuring that out again.
I remember when COVID happened, everybody was like, "Go elderberry!" And elderberry was like sold out everywhere. You couldn't find it even if you tried. You know what I mean? Like elderberry cough syrup, elderberry cough drops, everything elderberry was just sold off the shelves. Even on Amazon, you couldn't find it. Everybody was like, "I'll try anything." Horace Hound, cough drops, cough medication. Again, it's an herbal remedy that people are like, "Oh, that's sold out in every single store."
Clorox was selling well too at that time. I'm just saying,
Yeah, everybody gets on a health kick, but that's the secondary reason why I got into cannabis, because again, I've been a vegetarian since I was 19 years old, back in the early times when there was no vegetarian options at all like there is now. You can go in the store and buy a veggie patty or veggie burger. Back when I started was no such thing, wasn't anything. When I went out, I couldn't eat nothing besides mac and cheese and string beans. That's what I used to eat at every restaurant because there was nothing else for me to eat, period.
Mozzarella sticks.
Yeah, right. I would have to eat that. That would be about it. That's all I could have on the menu. But nowadays, you know, we got all these options. It's very easy to be vegetarian now. It's very easy to be vegan. We got all these out of the box options, place where you can go get fast food, prepared vegan options, vegetarian options, all that stuff, man. So that was the reason why also when I saw that, actually, that was with the time when the documentary came out, What the Health. Remember when What the Health came out and everybody started getting more health conscious when they saw that documentary and that kind of thing? That's when my light bulb went off and I said, oh, I think the world is starting to wake up. I think everybody's starting to have value for the herbal medicines. And when I saw everybody going crazy for cannabis, same thing. I said, oh, they're going crazy for cannabis. They're understanding that this one herb can do all of these things. I said, wait till I show you guys the 10,000 other herbs that can fix all types of stuff. You're going to be mesmerized with not just cannabis, what cannabis can do. And some people think cannabis is like a miracle drug and it can fix everything. And I'm like, guys, no, it can't do everything. It has its purpose. That's the reason why we have all these other herbs on the planet, because each one of them has its purpose. And it depends on your body composition. That same herb that might work for me might not work for you for that same ailment. That's the reason why the creator made 40 different herbs that do the same damn thing. 40 different herbs that can cure a headache, 40 different herbs that'll cure a cough, 40 different herbs. Why? Because human beings are different. We all have different body compositions. So the one that works for me might not work for you. So I'll go from that first herb and say, if that one don't work, I got a second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one. Line them up, man. And that was the reason when I got into cannabis and I said, it's time for me to help educate the masses on both the healing aspects and the business aspects, both two things that I've been very much ingrained with since I've been a youth. Yeah.
I want to interject before it gets way long, because now that Mikey's on camera, it reminds me of what you told Mikey across about Sayreville today. Was that today? Sayreville, Lefty. Tell me about Sayreville. What happened in Sayreville?
That was
I think
Edison.
he posted up about Edison.
Edison.
Oh, Edison.
I
420
had-
event.
Yeah, I didn't know. Well, we should know. Anyway,
Sayreville's October 9th.
what did I thought something happened we wanted to clap for Lefty for? No.
Well, let me if you all don't mind. Well, first off, what's up, gang?
What's up,
That's what I'm doing. I'm saying, tell us what the hell.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, Jim. Yeah, so we went to Edison last night, and I want to start off by saying that I've been to, I can't even count how many meetings with Lefty, you know, and you see, you know, the videos that get released, you know, you do the cut and you edit it and you put it out there, whatever. And it does a certain amount of justice, but nothing is like actually being there in person, seeing the room, feeling the vibe, seeing the council, seeing people who are present, seeing people who are in attendance, and seeing how everyone reacts and stuff like that.
Right.
And the first thing I want to say is shout out to Lefty El Rampador for an amazing testimony last night.
Mm-hmm.
The way it went down was Krista, who's Jersey Watcher, who does a lot of uncovering the corruption surrounding Edison and the mayor and whatnot. They've removed him from multiple meetings. I think it's the 5th time they've removed him consecutively. So the last 5 meetings he's been to, they removed him for wearing his mask. And, you know, everybody has different ideas of like what kind of approach makes sense or what works when you're looking to try to like effectively, you know, make change and stuff like that. And watching Christo get removed in person is much different than watching him get removed on video.
Mm-hmm.
You're there. It's a breathing thing that you're around and you're watching it. Video can't do justice like that. So when we both watched that, and I'm not going to speak for Lefty, but I'm speaking for myself, when we watched that, I know it fired me up. And it was complicated, but basic at the same time, because the borough attorney is getting paid by the town to draft these ordinances that are in favor of the mayor's administration and how they want to conduct decorum. You know, they've made some mistakes in the last few months. They put a rule down where you can't curse. If you curse, they're going to remove you. They then said that if you wear a mask, they're going to remove you. So Lefty showed up with the mask, And when he removed it and had the tape on his head, Patel is a commie, the council president stepped right into that trap.
What did it say?
And when you watch it on video, yeah, you get the feel, you get the vibe, but nothing was like watching that in person and knowing that he was going to step into that hole. It was a deep hole, and it was the kind of hole that you step in, you break your leg. So to watch the council president step into it, at first when Lefty removed his mask and he saw what it said on the on his head, he like laughed like right away. But then immediately he changed his vibe because he knew Lefty was pissed. We just watched Crystal get removed from we watched a member of the public get removed from a meeting for wearing a mask. There's no protection for any councils to decide that you can or cannot do these kinds of things. First Amendment activity, when converges with decorum, will always win. First Amendment will always win against a municipal's decorum ordinance or rules or procedures. So the whole thing was really weirdly stacked. And when Lefty pulled his mask off and the council president saw that, bam, popped him right in the nose. Popped him right in the nose with that. And then he had to listen to Lefty's powerful testimony. I've heard Lefty speak many, many times, not just on video, in person. Feel the vibe of the room. Understand what's happening. And I'm going to say, Lefty, you killed it last night. You were pissed. You were upset. You were angry. I felt the passion that I know you as a person. And the way you conveyed that through being so upset and frustrated at what we just watched, I'm like, this is what this council deserves. They deserve to be battered right now. I never expected for it to be so effective. That was what was I kind of didn't count. I didn't count that in. And the things that he said made everybody so terrified.
Lefty, you're muted. I want to hear you laughing. Unmute yourself. Come on, man.
Of being considered, inconsiderate, or having no empathy, whatever you want to call it. Lefty killed it last night, guys. You got to understand that. Lefty destroyed them, right? So I had some plans of, I speak at council meetings, and it didn't feel like there was anything much that I could say to add to the dynamic and the vibe of that room.
You can't follow that.
You kind of can't.
Boom!
What am I supposed to say?
Oh, and also,
guys, what am I supposed to say after that? Like, there was nothing to say. So I've had a lot of ideas in the works, and I'm not somebody who just puts pedal to the metal and just goes with this one idea or just whatever it may be or whatever. I have a lot of ideas and plans and things like that or whatever. So I had this song idea. I don't do my name. I don't do my address. The council doesn't deserve that. Certain councils don't deserve that. It's a courtesy. As a member of the public, it is a courtesy if we decide that we're going to share our sensitive and personal information about who we are and where we live. This is your government. This is the service from your government. This is what you're getting. We don't have to share who we are and where we live. To exercise the First Amendment, that's not how any of this works. So, I paid attention, in fourth grade social studies. So we need to really roll things back, So after Lefty dropped bombs on them and just blasted them and exploded the room, I knew I had to do the song. I didn't even tell Lefty or Crystal I was going to do it because, again, I have a plethora of approaches and methods. I've been doing this for a long time. And here's what it is, and I enjoy doing it. It's the part of me, being the better person that I am and the life that I've been living. This is part of what helps me. I know a lot of authority figures.
I did the
do
promenade
wrong.
out of the room. I didn't know you were going to speak. So I did the promenade out of the room. I'm like, disability rights are human rights. Disability rights are human rights. Disability rights are human rights. I said that like 50 times. And I went out the door singing it. And I thought you were following me out. I didn't know you were going to speak, man.
It's Animal House, John Belushi and Animal House. Exactly
was,
that. Let's get him! And he runs out all by
the video's good. The video's good.
like him. Yeah.
Being there in person was no short of amazing. It was no short of amazing. I've seen Lefty fired up before. I've seen him fired up before. Good amount of times.
But you saw him fired up making sense. I've seen him fired up before. Back in the old days, it was like willy-nilly. That sounds good.
he set a booby trap. You know, they didn't want no costume masks or whatever.
Take your mask off. Okay.
He set a booby trap. When he pulled off the mask and the council president saw Patel as a commie, boom, you just got punched right in the nose. What are we doing here? What are we doing here now, guys? Now, it's very important to remember this. When Christo got removed, he had less than a minute left in his 6-minute time, right? What do you think would have been the best business decision for members of the council? Just let him finish his less than 1 minute. But no, they removed him again. They continue to violate his rights. Lefty was pissed. He handed them their ass. And I wasn't even really prepared to do the song, to be honest with you. I had my harmonica in my pocket because I kind of like have my harmonica in my pocket a lot. Like sometimes I go to work and I bring it with me. And I don't even know how to play, to be honest with you. And I've never played the harmonica to that song. So I really wasn't prepared. But they needed to, if they want to treat it like a show and they want to violate people's rights, and if that's what they want to do, you want to create an atmosphere, a platform for entertainment, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll help you. We'll help you. And that's what we did. We helped them create the show that they have created, and it's a shit show in Edison. So, yeah, it was fun, man. I rocked the song out. I did a harmonica solo. I don't know, just ripping it. Crazy sounds going from it.
Can you do a few bars? Can you do a few bars? I can't play the video right now, but can you do a few bars of the song?
You mean like the harmonica part?
Where is the video at?
No, I want you to sing it. I want you to sing what you were singing to the council, or rap what you were rapping.
Put it on like right now. Like do the music too.
Whatever you want to do.
Rap.
No, I never give a name.
I got you.
I get it. Address.
I got it. We'll hook you guys up right now.
I want to see you.
I never give my
name. Play the
name.
harmonica.
I never give my address. I don't want to.
Yeah, baby. Will I never give my name, and I never give my address. I don't want to be dealing with the madness. The road to live on, the point how am I from? Isn't even this one is he rich as he scum? I'm just here to drop bombs and shoot missiles and corrupt government officials. And I've been taking names, creating change. And what the heck, you might be writing me a couple checks and think I ain't serious. Or I'm delirious. You're the ones who's acting kind of nefarious. What is me? We don't know. Put me down as good citizen or put me down as John Doe. And I never get my name. And I never get my address. That's the name. You don't need my name. And you don't need my address. You don't need to know any of my status. I tell you trying and always trying. All the time, government trying to take us mind. Can you make sense of this? My mission, pushing on sense. And I'm never going to exchange for to exercise my First Amendment. I never give a name. And I never give my address. I never give my name. And I never give my address. Yeah, we fucked them up.
Hey, yo, I gotta drop a bomb for that one over here, man. I gotta drop a bomb for that one, Mikey. You on it, baby. You on
it. I'm telling you, it wasn't just a bomb. There was a stink bomb in there. We left a stank. We left a rank ass stank in that room when we popped out of there.
Y'all need to pump that out, man. Y'all need to put that song out, bro. You need to make it happen, man. I like it. I like it. Guys, I got to get ready to run, man. So glad. I love hanging out with y'all, man. Been here the whole what was it? 2 hours, man. We went that
Yeah.
fast. Holy
Yeah,
shit!
man.
One last
2
question.
hours.
One last question. What's
Yeah.
your
Everybody
favorite munchie food? What's your favorite munchie food, Gary?
My favorite munchie food would be potato chips. Potato chips. Plain potato chips, Lay's potato chips. Those are I think that's my number one snack. Yeah, definitely.
He's got one more question too.
What's up?
Well, he's always asked. Okay, I'll ask the other question and ask. When was the first time you smoked, and what was it like?
Oh, that was when I was 11 years old. That was the first time I smoked, and the first time I smoked, I bugged out. I was smoking with my boy who had smoked more than me, and I bugged out and said, "Oh shit, I'm bugging out. Take me home." My boy started walking me to the crib. He started walking me home because I was tripping. I was like, "Yo, man, I'm not right. Yo, take me home. Something wrong. Something's wrong with me." So he starts walking me home. He's laughing, right? He starts walking me home. I get right up to the step, right to my doorstep, and I'm thinking my mom's gonna be right there when I open this freaking door. I said, "Nah, forget it, man. I'm out of here. Let's go back to your house." And we turned around and we went back. Big up to my man Skookie, man. That was my boy Skookie. Rest in peace. He's not here anymore, but that was my boy, first man that smoked with me, and I tripped out like a lot of people do their first time.
Yeah, but he couldn't help you out, but to take you home, and then the thought of your mama on the other side of the door straighten you right up, man.
Straight up. He knew once I got to that door and I thought about it, I was gonna say, "Nah, bro, I ain't going in there. Take me back to the crib. We just go back to your house." And so that was it, man. I've been a smoker a long time, man. Been also selling weed early on, man, making sure everybody got the goodness, taking care of patients. And I had so many patients that I was serving at a young age. That's when I really realized the medical medicinal value, because I was a little kid and I didn't have any problems. I didn't have any pain. I didn't have any issues. So I was smoking weed purely recreational just to, get high in effects. But then I had older patients that were 50 years old, 60 years old that would come to me and buy things for their pain, and they would tell me about it. And that's the light bulb moment for me when I realized that I wasn't just, out here using and selling something that was just for an appearance effect. It was something that people were really using medicinally, and that had changed me, changed the way I thought about things. And that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now, becoming a big advocate for cannabis, making sure that we can get the word out, man, making sure that we can have more businesses, more places, more things that we can do to spread the word, man. So that's the reason why I tell everybody, come to the conference, October 18th and 19th. That's realcannabisentrepreneur.com, realcannabisentrepreneur.com to the Real Cannabis Psychedelics Entrepreneur Conference, the first year that we're going to do psychedelics, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to learn and you want to find out the ungoogleable information about how to get in this cannabis business, come to our conference, 18th and 19th, Newark, New Jersey. DoubleTree is going to be off the hook. 1,000 attendees, 40 plus speakers, guys. We had to upgrade to the largest hotel ballroom north of AC, and we still overflowed the parking lot last year, the year before. This one's going to be even bigger. We got even more people flying in from all over the place, professionals. Everybody's coming in from different countries. We are going to have a ball, ladies and gentlemen. Lefty and them are going to be in the building. Sativa Cross in the building. Big up to y'all, man. Always Bung Hope doing it big, man. I always got to represent y'all, man. Y'all are my freaking heroes, man. Out here on the front lines, making it happen. So we're going to blow y'all up on stage. Make sure y'all in the building. Broadcast, do everything else. Big up Sativa Cross. Everybody go donate right now. SativaCross.org. SativaCross.org. That's super dope. The 501c3, man. These guys are out here fighting for our people to make sure that we can get homegrown, make sure our children can get taken care of, make sure that our family members don't have to suffer anymore, man. This is real business. This is what it's really about. And you guys are the unsung heroes, man. So I'm always going to big you guys up. Big up, big up, big up. Sativa Cross in the building, Real Can in the building. Thank y'all again, brother. I'm going to dip out, man, but I'll see you guys October 18th, 19th. Let's get it. You know what I mean? Let's go. And there you go. I'm going to give y'all my sound effects on the way out. Pigs,
thank you, Gary.
Yes, thank you guys, man. Always love being here. I'm going to see you guys.
On the 18th.
All right, y'all. Later, man.
Peace.
Yeah.
He was good. He was good.
He's got a lot of energy.
He does. He really
He's got
does.
the most energy I think I've ever seen anyone have. Ever.
He always has good energy.
Yeah. He's a showman, so he's got that going on.
Yeah, that's his thing.
He's good though. He is good. He's
glad
energetic.
I'm glad we got to end it like that, because I could tell. I mean, it's Sayreville, Edison, whatever. I got a lot going on, and like I did not have, and still haven't caught up with stuff from having no communication other than phone and text. In other words, no real news other than what I see on the TV. No contact, no social media. So I'm barely catching up. So I'm thinking Sayreville, something about Sayreville. God damn it, something like Bongholio across the bottom screen there, and there's that lefty, and I didn't quite read it all, and it only went by once. It wasn't like this.
Well, Sayreville has been on the tip of our tongues because we've been waiting to go back there or whatever.
Yeah, so anyway, but I just wanted to. I looked at the time. I saw 8:44. I said, no, this could be something good, and that was very entertaining too. I mean, that was really it was a good way to end a good show. It was really good.
You know what, Jim? You know what irks me about the Sayreville thing or whatever? Last night in Edison, they were talking about reducing the time from 6 minutes to 4 minutes for public speaking. They tabled the ordinance, so cool. Sayreville just recently reduced their minutes from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. What's interesting, Jim, about the ordinance is it gives the mayor sole discretion on deciding what public speakers can have an additional 2 minutes after everyone has exhausted their public speaking time. Now, this is one of the most illegal things that are happening. But borough attorneys are being paid by townships, so they'll draft ordinances and they'll do things and they'll take a paycheck. And as long as no one sues, we're fine. We good. We can fizzle our rights away and we can, gain leverage and all that stuff. And that's what these towns are doing. It becomes a process and it takes some time and it takes energy and there's some weight involved when filing lawsuits, finding lawyers, and it's interesting because I don't understand why the general public isn't outraged by that. But at the same time, after I process that, I'm like, yeah, I get it. People are just preoccupied. They're living their lives. Everyone's got to struggle.
I'm going to take her down, then I'll come back. And
the problem is that what doesn't affect people, they can care less about, and that's.
But how could anyone think that's legal? The mayor has no protection to decide who has value, who deserves an extra 2 minutes at the end. There's no protection for government to have that. So, if this keeps happening over time in municipalities and in states across the country, where do we end up? Not where we are here. I know personally for a fact, I will look back on this year, 2024, years from now, and I'll say, I wish we had it like this. I wish we had it like this now. And I'm outraged at the landscape of the way things are with government and the public. So, these things are happening all across the state, and they're taking time away. That was why I was so proud of Lefty's testimony when talking about disabled people not having Zoom access. They don't get the 6 minutes. They don't get the 4 minutes.
Tell me about the Zoom. What about the Zoom? Is that going to be a thing? I mean, is that coming back? They had it during the pandemic, I believe, right?
Well, I'll mention them. I'm sure Lefty wants to probably add to it.
I really
Councilman Brescher, he's one of the better guys on the council. Afterwards, he had stated that he thinks that they should have all this up and running by the next meeting. And these are the things that you don't gather when you're watching videos and how they're edited, and people only watch, stuff of certain lengths and stuff. But the council was incredibly compelled to have this done by the next meeting. Then I've been telling Lefty, if you could ever get a council to bring back Zoom, he's already one of my heroes. I really dig people who, not celebrities or that kind of stuff, just good regular people. Jeff Oaks kind of people. These are the people I look up to and stuff like that.
Mike, when is that next meeting?
But he October 9th.
Okay.
Yeah. But he got Brescher to say that we have all this stuff. He said the gentleman brought up a good point for a Lefty. We have all this stuff in place. And he also mentioned that he watched many businesses over the years lose lawsuits for ADA access. So he saw what Lefty was bringing up as an issue for the township and their finances and how things will well, look, going forward, if you have some ADA violations and you're not giving access to disabled people in your town to be able to participate in a public meeting, taxpayer, yeah, you got a UGIS. You're not going to win that one. You're going to lose that one in court. You're gonna. So I know when they woke up this morning, I know emails were being sent and people were talking, and they want to make sure they don't get sued for these kinds of things because they already violated Crystal's First Amendment rights. They've had decorum issues that are totally illegal. There's a few of them. Now Lefty brought up the ADA issue. They're scared because they're not in a good place. They're not conducting big business properly. So yeah, last night was amazing for me.
Those to me too.
Absolutely amazing. The stuff that's important to me was all solidified last night.
Yeah, they know they're being set up.
I just like the trap was simple. Okay.
Yeah, it was really easy.
You're going to take your mask off. We're going to say, take your mask off. Have something under there worse for them than the mask itself.
It was like a booby trap that you actually put cones around. It'd be so easy to ignore it. But no, they stepped through the cones.
Seriously,
and they broke their leg in the hole.
That was barely better than, hey, look, your shoe's untied. I mean, seriously, it was more advanced. And I've seen it on simple forums like, actually more or less on shows or in movies, but the genius of knowing it's going to happen. Lefty, did you were sure the mask was going to have to come off? How good did it feel when they told you to do it? You know, I mean, is it like when the ball hits all 10 pins and they go down? You know,
I wish I had something worse written on there.
You should have had visibly something below it and say, why? You want me to take this off? No. No, leave that on. You know, like a different color, bigger bandage behind it.
I'm going to say it like this, Jim. I know you've seen amazing concerts over the years and stuff like that. You know, well, when you see an amazing concert, you get that post-concert vibe. Mm-hmm. Like if you see an amazing show, you're kind of like naturally high for a few days or whatever. I'm projecting for me that it's going to be a few more days of this. Like it was a pretty epic night, and the meaning and the effectiveness of everything is just this is going to stick with me for a couple more nights. I mean, I'm jazzed up. I've been jazzed up all day.
I almost shit because I literally did everything you're not supposed to do to a council. Yell at them, point at them, call them names. I did everything you're not supposed to do. And I left that room saying, F this council, screw it. And all of a sudden, I hear the councilman saying, yeah, that man was right. I was like,
really? Listen, I got this little hand there on Leaf Studio. I gotta go. I gotta take care of something. And this has been fun, man. Paco, Sue, Lefty, Mikey.
Later, Jim.
It's been an interesting night. Thanks for the wrap up at the end, man. That was a solid way to end it out, man. Peace out.
You know what's funny, Mikey? When we go to Sayreville, that mayor in Sayreville used vets for his political theater.
Yep.
He used them.
Yep.
But then he doesn't give them he doesn't give them access to the meetings though. So he's a fucking fraud. I'm gonna call. I can't wait to call out Mayor O'Brien. Is that his name, O'Brien?
Kennedy O'Brien.
Yeah, I can't wait. And I hope he makes me remove the mask because I'll have something nice written for him too. These people, they think they have so much power. They disgust me.
Well, they do.
It's surprising, Sayreville of all places.
Well, he was also the old mayor. A lot of it has to do with the political. The new mayor, the mayor Kilpatrick, who was the last administration. She's the cream in the Oreo cookie. Mayor O'Brien was before and after her. So after watching her meetings, and she cared about what she was doing. She actually gave a shit. The meetings were kind of long. They were rather long. But that's because she cared. That's generally my interpretation of it. So when I read in the paper that Mayor O'Brien they were going to reduce the time. They were going to introduce an ordinance, and they were reducing the time from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. 3 minutes is not a lot. He said in the paper, and this is quoted, people, I'm not going to give people a platform. I'm not going to give dopey assholes with no lives a platform. That was the quote. So I'm like, I can't believe this guy spoke like that. And I'm like almost half torn on it because I'm like, mad respect to people who don't give a shit. And this is what they believe. This is how they're going to. I respect it. I don't agree with it, but I do respect that. And those are hard players to, budge off of their pedestal. So I never assumed that he was referring to anybody from the last administration. I'm thinking, he came in as mayor in January. They introduced this ordinance, 3 months ago. So I'm thinking it was like he's, seeing people who are coming out, and this is what he's trying to do as a response. But he was referring to the last administration and how long the meetings were and the people that came out. I went to that meeting. I was very surprised to hear that it was essentially me and Lefty we were used as the examples of people who, there's some guy said, a guy in a wrestling mask in a wheelchair, people accusing someone on the council of, murdering the former councilwoman or whatever, which is not what happened anyway. But it made sense that we were able to be, the target for, we're going to remove time from people. And
yeah, you guys were their scapegoats.
Yeah. And I hate that personally, because when you're trying to do good work and stuff like that, and something like that happens, it's like, it sits a little differently with you, whatever. I was very surprised to come to realize that I was part of the dopey assholes with no lives. And it doesn't matter what we all do, whatever, we all have different journeys, this and that, or whatever, but I've never went to a council meeting where I didn't go to work the same day. I'm not I'm not a dopey asshole. I might be an asshole, but someone who would say that in that position, yeah, he might be too. But I certainly have a life. So do the hardworking people of Sayreville. Everybody's struggling to keep their head above water. You don't speak about people like that. So yeah.
Isn't he an ex-police officer?
Not that I know of. Well, Zabrowski on the council was the former chief.
The council, okay. So I'm mixing
yeah, because Zabrowski, he was a part of NJ Ramp. NJ Ramp was the group that was bombarded. They bombarded all the towns in 2018 with a packet this big with all sorts of marijuana, scare shit or whatever, reefer madness. Every town got it. So Zabrowski was part of that group. So these guys are getting paid, and they're advancing their own financial and political agenda, whatever works well for them, and using their title and using their constituents as a poker chip. We watched Mayor Reed do it. He was a part of NJ Ramp as well. Mayor Reed came to Sayreville the first time that he ran all over the state talking about all this reefer madness. And he told, first thing he said, I'm the mayor of Point Pleasant Beach, and we're the first town that banned marijuana, and urged them all to do so. So when Zabrowski wound up, he had, there's 4 lawsuits currently against Zabrowski with officers and racially charged stuff and whatnot or whatever. And not to get too into it or whatever, but Eunice Rumford, the woman who was murdered, she was the first Black woman to ever be elected in Sayreville. And she was a Republican, and she was murdered. And it took 8 months for them to have any leads and find out who was doing it. Within those 8 months, I certainly was thinking that maybe someone like a rogue police officer or someone like that did it or whatever, because the PBA, the guy who was in charge of the PBA wrote a email to Eunice, who was also the police liaison, and said, or wrote to the mayor, said, please remove Eunice from that position. We don't work well together. Eunice, the last meeting before she was murdered, made a statement saying that she's had difficulty with police over her, from her experience and stuff like that. And she was making the statement to say, I look forward to work with the police department. I look forward to, committing to, a better, whatever outcome. So next thing you know, she got murdered. And then Chief Z, the former chief with all these lawsuits, is now in her seat. Makes me think, you know. So when we went there, we weren't accusing him of anything like that. We were raising all these issues. We wanted other people to speculate or you critically think, what we don't teach in public education, you know, memorize dates, all this crap. What other people need to critically think about all these facts and draw your own conclusions. That's all that was. There was no finger pointing like that. I mean, that's how someone's going to describe it. Oh yeah, they finger pointed to the Chief Z. But that's the easy, quick thing to say. You know, substance takes critical thinking, and it takes like an intellect to like even scratch the surface. But you know, we were made as scapegoats, and they reduced the time, and now you only have 3 minutes to speak and serve. I'm like, it's pretty horrible considering that you get 2 times a month to speak for 3 minutes. That's what we're worth. That's your government. That's your that's the service from your government, and that's what we're worth. I think that sucks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. And South River on the 7th. Yeah. Busy October.
Yep.
Do you think South River is going to let me wear the mask? Is South River going
hold
to
it into the police station, so you have to enter through the police station. So you might encounter them first, because after 5 p.m. you have to get rung in. You have to press a doorbell. There's a camera. State why you're there. So I don't think so, but
that's where you're at.
Depends on the evening.
South River you live in?
Yeah, depends all on the evening. So yeah. I've never done it, so I can't say that you won't have an issue. But yeah.
All right. Well, hey, thanks guys for coming on with Gary before. It was a really good podcast, and last night was amazing. I'm still in shock that they actually are going to do something about it, like immediately. Like they're not going to have a subcommittee. They're going to do this like immediately because they're going to get sued otherwise. And it's like, wow. All right.
Well, you know what? Honestly, Lefty, I'm glad you were that fired up. And I know you've rolled back your passion at times for many different reasons. You know, I understand all that. But I love that last night happened the way it did. And this might be the first town that you get them to bring Zoom access back. I actually think they're going to do it. I do.
I can't wait to yell at O'Brien. I can't. He's on my list. That guy, I'm going to call him a commie. Now he's a Republican. You call a Republican a commie, he's going to blow his stack.
They usually do.
Yeah, you are going to be pissed at him.
He's gonna be pissed off because he can use vets as political theater though, but not help them get access. So, and I want to know who was playing patty cake with me. I'm walking up with my hand raised because I'm gonna say, hey, can you see my hand raised? Because I was on a meeting in August and they kept lowering my hand and I kept raising it and they kept lowering it and I kept raising it and they kept lowering it for like 20 friggin' minutes. So I want to know who I was playing patty cake with, and does their husband know that she's playing patty cake with strangers online?
Oh man, that's gonna be funny.
It's gonna be a great meeting. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I can't wait.
That's so great.
Oh my god, that's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes those are the things that kind of glue things together. You know, and honestly, no, and I'm not even kidding. I'm not even trying to be funny.
Yeah.
When you told Patil, not Patel, that you believed he was a good egg, for whatever reason, how you got there at that moment, the way everything went down that night or whatever, it was the most brilliant thing ever. Because you were so pissed, you were so upset, but you showed that. But I think this guy's a good guy.
Yeah, except for you.
He gave you a vibe, but and I'm like, yo, that dude, that's his best as you can get with punking people like this or whatever. And he was a good guy, and he was one of the guys who said, "Yeah, we need to do something about this. We need to fix this."
I could tell he was a good guy. You know why he's a good guy? Because when I called point of order, when they were whispering, he stood up and says, "Yeah, you should really run a better meeting, and you should not do that." And I was like, "Whoa, yeah."
Yeah, he even said it. He's like, I brought it up and told you should be paying attention to the speaker. I heard that.
Yeah, that's why if anyone's watching or whatever and listening, it's very important to just take part and do these things, speak up and stuff like that. Only good can come from it. Even if you're wrong or you maybe feel like you're out of place or whatever, there's really no harm in just speaking up and saying something or whatever. Because if Lefty didn't call that point of order, that moment would never have happened. Lefty would have never got that information that guy might have been a good egg. Then he wouldn't have been in the position where he was able to determine when he was killing everybody that we're not going to let's lay off him for a minute. So you're trying to, you're working with honey and vinegar and oil and all the gasoline. You have all these different textiles and liquids and stuff like that. You're throwing. It was just it was played perfectly, and maybe that's just me overthinking it or just loving it or whatever it is.
That was fun, bro. Yeah. That was a fun one. Dude, that was a great one, and you killed it. We all killed it, Chris. We had fun.
Yeah,
we just in our zone.
Yep, absolutely.
But I want to thank CMMNJ. I want to thank CanaSense, UFCW, JacksonStorms.com, Smoking Monkey, Arlo Glass, OprahMachine.com, Mad Hatter Dispo. Where we're at here now, and we're having a big party on Saturday. Yeah. And I don't expect rain Saturday. Maybe a little bit in the morning, but we're good.
Yeah, come on out Saturday, everyone.
Come on out, sativacross.org. And here's our list. I hope y'all are happy now because you're about to feel like shit. Because these are all our friends and family that have died, waiting for cannabis, waiting for compassion. And a lot of these people never got the compassion and cannabis they truly needed or deserved. You got Cheryl, you got Sabina, Diane, Gracie, Cindy Mae, Marie, Jack, Joan, Randy, Polly, Bill, Chad, Jeremy, Colette, Matt, Troy, Russ, Roger, Jay, Ella, Hattie, Jackie, Anthony, Jake, Armando, Felicia, Lynn, Dan, Sean, Joyce, Lori, Mikey's aunt, Frank, Brian, Flo, Carl, Thorne, Frank and Lorraine, Terry, Charlotte, Cher, Jaybird, Michael, Marley, Colette, Brendan, Red, Rico, Lulu, Becky, LaWanda, Chip, Paul, Lisa, Marcus, Gary, Molly, and Jeff Oakes. So I'll marinate on that for a minute. That's why we do a lot of the activism we do, because we've seen the suffering that we've seen. I've seen too much. I've seen a lot of these people suffering. And I don't like it. And I don't want you to like it. I don't want anyone to like it. And it seems like people are complacent. People are, I don't know. I'm glad I got through to that council because, when I said to them, I was like, somebody here knows somebody with cancer. Somebody here knows somebody in a wheelchair. And I know somebody did. They have to. They had to.
Oh.
Well, guys, I'll see you Saturday.
Great show.
Saturday's gonna be cool. I'm looking
Saturday's
forward
gonna be the bomb. I'm gonna have lots of dabs for Saturday. I'll bring my Peak Pro out, and we're gonna smoke lots of blunts and dabs.
Heck yeah! You coming out, Paco, Saturday?
I'm gonna try to make it. Yeah.
Don't try. Do.
I got other events I gotta hit too.
Well, you have to try to do. You can't try do without trying. Try and then do.
Exactly. Try to do. Do to try. All right. Well, we're going to end it with this. It's a ode to remembrance from 100 years ago. And speaking of songs, bringing songs to the battle, Mikey, you brought the song to the battle last night. This is exactly what we're talking about in this stanza. They went with songs to the battle. Come on, man. They went
Right
with
there.
songs to the battle.
Right there.
Straight of limb, true of eye, steady in the glow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Later, guys.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everybody. See ya.